I'm laughing because otherwise I'd be crying just a little bit, I think.
She's laughing because otherwise she'd be swearing.
That too. That too.
No, we never do that.
No. There's no cursing here at the APG.
Nope.
No, none whatsoever.
Mind you, cursing isn't the same as swearing.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
Splitting hairs.
And profanity is something not quite the same as swearing.
Ah.
It's got to be profane.
Isn't that
Anyway,
what you used to light up your gas barbecue?
That would be
That's
probably.
propane.
Would that be cursing or swearing?
Propane, not
Propane.
profane.
Oh, propane.
Profanity.
That is very, very funny.
Ah.
There's a rim shot.
Bada bing, bada boom.
It really doesn't.
Here we go. Michael.
Okay, hello everyone in the chat room. We said we'd be here between 4:30 and 5, and we are. So just want to be on the record. Point that out.
Jeff just did pay the piano behind him.
He did. You just missed it.
Yeah, you won't watch him.
That's what you get for stepping away.
That's it.
That's right. That's what you get for not watching when we're not broadcasting.
Yeah,
it was very good though, and hopefully you'll
hopefully
share it
everybody
with
will be
everyone
able
at
to.
some point. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Captain Jeff is a canary, or he might be a budgeriggar. I haven't decided which.
Oh,
I like
buzzing.
the yellow.
Might be a buzzing.
You know, it's coming in. It's coming in more yellow. It's more of like a yellow gold, but in the camera, it's showing up as
It's like
more
Crayola yellow.
yeah, but it's really kind of a.
Big
It's
bird
more
yellow.
like Nev's car,
He
which
won't-
is what is it again? What do you call the color of your car, Dana? I mean, Nev, not Dana.
Vomit yellow.
As far as screen.
Vomit. Yeah, that's Tangerine Scream. Thank you, Les.
Tangerine scream. Yes.
That's it. Even though it's coming over as more like a banana yellow or a canary. No, not a canary. A
Big
banana
bird
yellow, maybe.
yellow.
Everyone's
If
saying
you fell into the big wide ocean, everybody would see you from miles away.
That's exactly why I'm wearing it, Dana.
Okay. Good.
Oh, wait a minute. We're not anywhere near the ocean.
Oh, you reckon?
Hey, I wonder where Louisiana Steve's from.
That
was a-
Where
Mississippi.
did my video go?
Hey, Louisiana
Is that
Steve.
last time?
Yeah, where is your video? Dang it.
Is this
Nick?
you, Jeff? If you
Who?
killed my video,
What? No, I didn't do anything.
I don't know. So this was the last show. I lost video for like
If I knew how to do that, I probably would, but I don't. And I didn't.
It's my secret, Nick. It's my secret.
you're a secret. Oh, damn. Let me try switching cameras. See if that makes a difference.
Now, I don't know if I know Adam is at the airport looking for some place to go eat and waiting to check in. But Adam Spink, I just want to thank you. If you're watching the video, you're probably not, but this is the beer, one of the beers that you gave me. Thank you very much. It's very tasty. It's Spitfire Gold from Shepherd Neem. I guess that's the way you pronounce it. Neame Neem, right? No.
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Did Nick
I
leave
don't
us?
drink
Wait,
beer. As a matter of fact, I don't drink anymore.
your video's back.
Oh, well, I've switched cameras.
Oh,
Is that
it's the camera.
you palmed off on me? Yeah, it isn't working.
Okay. Well, I don't know what to tell you about that.
I'll try switching back and see if it. Actually, no. I'll tell you what. I could just try disconnecting it and reconnect it.
There you go. Maybe sometimes my Logitech camera does that too, and I have to just revert to the built-in.
That sounds delicious.
nice. Makes me want to go back to having a drink, but that's not happening.
Don't do that.
Nope.
Why, are you about to fly or something? Hello?
Dana?
Yeah. Am I frozen?
No, there was a
No,
question to
I
you.
asked you a question.
I didn't hear it. It froze.
Okay, I said, why? Are you going to have to fly soon or something?
No, I just I need to lose a few pounds, hundreds of pounds, and drinking's just not on the cards for me
Yeah, I
Anytime
know. I
soon.
should stop drinking beer. They say it kind of makes you fat.
Yeah,
If-
well,
And I have evidence of it.
I resemble that remark.
I do too. Okay. Let's
I
see
run
here.
a lot. It helps.
Yeah, I don't run them. I can't run them.
So my trainer at the gym, he trains another Delta guy,
Mhm.
and he's after I had met him yesterday for the first time, and I'm sorry, he trains a Delta guy. I don't know, it's not the airline I work for, but he commented on the fact that how's that big guy fit in the cockpit? That's what my trainer told me this morning that he said about me.
Oh, nice.
The trainer actually
that
told
nice?
you that? Or the trainer said that the other guy said that about you.
Exactly.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, we're not being recorded,
Nice.
right? So yeah.
We are.
Oh.
It's fine.
Well, I'm sure you have different thoughts about him now.
No, he's a nice guy. It's just
Yeah.
we are in a very small cockpit. He happens to be number 5 or 6 on the 767.
Hmm.
So he just is out of touch a little bit, I think.
Yeah. Aren't we all? Man, what's wrong with my voice?
I'm back. My video's back.
Woohoo.
Right. Excellent. You guys want to start this thing?
Yeah.
Got a lot of stuff to talk about
Yep, we do. And listen to.
and listen to and all that. Comment about. So without further ado, let's do a sound check. When I say let's, I mean me. I'll do a sound check. How's that? Volume?
Good.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Airline Pilot Guy, episode 269. Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. I'm Captain Jeff, your host, broadcasting live from Studio 1A in the APG headquarters building in Roswell, Georgia. In today's episode, pilot is attacked by a passenger, a mid-air meltdown, some A321 incidents, more news, your feedback, and a new Plain Tales episode. Key must go. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in their upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. Flight 269 is ready for pushback. Hello and welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast where we get together every week to talk about things aviation. And joining me today to accomplish that task is a physiatrist, a doctor, a pilot, strength training junkie, an IPA connoisseur, all around great young lady, Dr. Steph.
And hello. Great to be back for, what is this, 269, did you say?
Yep.
And yes, a lot to accomplish today, I think. And looking forward to another great show as usual.
Absolutely. I am as well. Also joining us from across the pond is former fighter pilot, professional photographer, commercial airline captain extraordinaire for the airline we call Acme Red, Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff. And hi, Steph. What a lovely day. It's been here, except a wee bit chilly. It's nice to be back indoors and looking forward to a great show.
All right. And also joining us. Sorry, I have the beach ball on my Macintosh. Hang on. All right, here we go.
That's
Also
okay,
joining
Nick
us.
forgot me too.
Former regional airline pilot, now Mad Dog operator for Acme Air Mainline. It's First Officer Dana.
Well, good afternoon, crew. How are you guys this afternoon? Great to be back and a part of the show once again. Pleasant day here in the Atlanta area if you're a duck or a fish, one of the two. But other than that, looking forward to another great show and a little great banter and having another fun afternoon listening to the APG.
And participating. Thank you very much.
Yes, well, of course.
Hey, so Dana, since we have you, you just were introduced. I understand that your week was kind of eventful.
It was very eventful. I had my recurrent training. It was 2 days of pure bliss. Yeah, if you want to call it that. Yeah, I'd rather go to a proctologist than have a proctology exam.
Well, wouldn't we all?
No. Pass. I don't.
Yeah. Well,
No?
if I was a female, I'd say gynecologist, but I can't say that. So, but anyways, yeah, the joy of going through recurrent, let alone spending this probably about a week prior, spending quite a bit of time studying all the recurrent material to make sure you're up to date, and then not knowing what you're going to get. And this time I knew who I was going to get for an examiner, and so that made the preparation ever so more crucial. He's a very tough examiner, very thorough, but in all fairness, he is a fantastic examiner in the regards that he's very concerned about you learning, and is very thorough. So it makes you, it drives you to be a better pilot, a better prepared pilot. But you know, we had a few issues come about with the captain and the sim, and it was very challenging for him. But fortunately, I was there to do my good first officer duties and make him look like the star, and I took it in the butt. I mean, I'm on the head.
Speaking of proctologists.
Speaking of proctologists, but no, it worked out in the end. So we both got the John Hancock to sign off, and we are blessed again. But yeah, it was a couple buddies of mine told me that they went through, and it took them about 2.5 to 3 hours in the sim, and about an hour worth of pre-brief. Well, that wasn't us. It was a complete and total 4 hours in the sim, probably 4 hours and 5 minutes, to be honest, and a full hour and 34 minutes of briefing. And my debrief was a matter of about a minute and a half. His debrief was much longer when I was asked to leave the room, so I don't know how that went, but it was a fun time.
For you, maybe. Not.
Yeah.
But less so for him.
I think so.
Yeah. That's not good. Well, I was going to say you got your money's worth, but
I sure did. But training is exactly that. It's training. It's an opportunity to go in and make the mistakes in the simulator. And fortunately, I didn't really actually make that many mistakes. Very few, to be honest. But it was really a good learning opportunity, as it should be. That's really the design of the whole program. Time you go through training, it's designed to make you a better and more cognizant pilot, in being that you're more aware of the things that you may make an error on, to hopefully avoid that Swiss cheese model and not make those errors in the future.
Absolutely.
It was a good week.
So when are you heading out again on a trip?
I don't go out until Monday.
Nice.
I'm going to get to go to Turks and Caicos. I haven't gone there in a very long time.
Oh, good for you. I'm going to go someplace that's well, not really tropical, but it's out of the country. I'll talk about that in a minute. But let's check in with Dr. Steph and see how her week has gone since we've last talked with her.
Yes, my week has been, let's see, shall we say, since the last show, I feel like I should apologize to Larry the Geezer for, he sent in a fine piece of feedback last show, and I decided I should read it, and probably was not in the right frame of mind to read that for him. So
I think you did a wonderful job of kind of expanding upon paragraph 5, 6.
Yes.
A, whatever it was, or C, I don't remember.
I just want him to know I was not trying to make light of it or make fun of it anyway. And just, a few too many IPAs there that I was doing my job of
kind of. It wasn't his paper; it was somebody else's paper. That's the
true,
person you need to
But
apologize
he sent it to us. No, I don't know that person. I don't care. but he sent it to us. So first and foremost that. So no, my week has been actually really nice since then. Kind of an uneventful weekend last weekend. And then this week had a very nice meetup with Jeff Ward, who helps out some with the UCAP podcast, the Uncontrolled Airspace podcast. And I think we have some of that audio in just a little bit or whatever.
Yeah, we could do it. You can do it while we're kind of catching up with you, but go ahead and
sure. But really, I mean, not a whole lot else outside of that this week. It's just been a lot of work, unfortunately. Today was the lightest day I've had all week, so thankful for that. A little bit of time to relax before we did the show today. And we had a lot of rain. It was, Dana talked about nice for the ducks and fish. That's what we had in Charlotte last weekend. It just poured from Sunday, Monday into Tuesday, and then all of a sudden, bright blue skies again. So.
Yeah, but rain's coming again, Steph.
I know you're sending it to us, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Look forward to that this evening.
Okay. You want me to play the audio from your meetup that you had with?
Yeah, you can do that. Sure.
Okay. Let's see if I can find it. I can't. It's not where I left it.
I just sent it.
I know you did, but for some reason, although I pasted it in this document, it's not there anymore. Maybe that was the message that I was getting from Evernote saying that there's some kind of a conflict. Okay, hang on. I know where to find it. So in the audio version of this, you'll never hear any of this stuff. See the stuff that you get to hear when you're here with us live?
Yeah, they're so lucky.
Yes, they are. Okay.
Behind the scenes. Okay.
Here we go.
All right. Well, hello, APGers. This is Dr. Steph. I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina, as I usually am. Currently tonight, we're at the Noda Brewing Company here, not in the Noda area, but this is their North Tryon location, which is a new location for me. But it's a great little tap room that they've opened here, and lots and lots and lots of beers on tap for pretty much anyone's style or preference of beer consumption. And the reason I'm here tonight is actually to meet up with one of our community members and I guess say producer / show notes contributor to another well-known aviation podcast, Jeff Ward. So hello, Jeff.
Hello, and here we are in Charlotte, and Dr. Steph is absolutely right. There is a wonderful selection of beer here, and it's a pleasant night in Charlotte for a change. It's been cold and rainy since I showed up a couple of days ago. But
yeah, we're saying that Jeff brought the rainy weather with him, which he's denying.
Yeah, but yeah, it pretty much followed me down.
Well, I'm glad we picked today instead of yesterday as a day to come out to meet, because yesterday was rainy and gross, and today was, by the time we got here, sunny and very pleasant.
It was t-shirt weather out here.
Yeah, we sat here in t-shirts for quite a while.
And what kind of t-shirts were they?
Of course, our Acme.
They are
Fly
Acme Airlines
Airline
t-shirts. That's correct.
So for folks who may listen to the Airline Pilot Guy show who may not know what the Uncontrolled Airspace podcast is, tell us a little bit about that and what you do for them.
Okay. Well, Uncontrolled Airspace podcast is a general aviation podcast. It's been running now, coming up on 10 years, I guess.
I think you're calling it 10 years on the podcast.
Yeah, that's right. It's the 10th year.
Yeah.
10th year. I think it's the 8.5 year of my involvement, but something like that. So yeah, it's been going on for 10 years. The primary members are Jack Hodgson, who is a new media guy and a private pilot. Jeb Burnside, who is a aviation writer. He's currently editor of Aviation Safety magazine, and Dave Higdon, who is a aviation photographer and a freelance writer who contributes to a huge number of aviation publications now. And they met each other working on the show daily at Oshkosh many years ago. That's how they met. They were all working on the daily newspaper at the show. And Jack thought that, hey, there's this podcast thing, we should do it. And after about a year of yakking at them, he finally convinced them to do it. And it's been running ever since. It was weekly for a long time. Now it's pretty much bi-weekly. But they just talk about aviation topics related mostly to general aviation. And it's kind of like hangar talk, a hangar thing.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah,
kind of like it's the virtual hangar.
If you ever go and listen, it's kind of the counterpoint to the airline hangar talk that happens on the Airline Pilot Guide
It
show.
is, yeah.
It's more the general aviation side of things. So if that's something that you're interested in, it's,
Right.
it's
So, yeah, and I got involved years ago, just sort of volunteering my time doing, helping with the show notes, and eventually that was kind of became my permanent position, and I do some administration on the forums and any number of other things, and work with the guys at the Oshkosh when I'm there. So, yeah, it's fun, and we have get-togethers from time to time. But it's one of many aviation podcasts I listen to.
there's a lot out there to choose from, and they're all excellent, as we always say. So
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot to pick from, and a lot of quality out there. So, so we were talking a little bit, but I don't think I heard the whole story. You're a general aviation pilot yourself, correct? Tell us
Right.
a little bit about that.
Yep. Yeah. I had always wanted to become a pilot since my early days. Had a couple of aborted attempts early on. Actually, when I was in the Air Force, they had an aero club at Eglin, and I started taking lessons. But they kept sending me on temporary duties somewhere else to other bases, and I'd have to cancel, drop out. Never got it done. And years later, I got involved in flying radio control models, which I still do. It's been 20 years now. And one of the guys that I flew with got his private license, told me how great it was. I went out with a discovery flight and was hooked and signed up, and that was it. That was a little over 10 years ago. Got my private license. A year and a half later, I got my seaplane, single-engine seaplane license. And I don't fly as much as I want to, but
I don't know if any of us who are
none of us do, right?
We've got our own careers, and that kind of takes precedence. But
Yeah.
do you own your own plane, or do you rent?
I still rent, although I'd like to get into either a club or a partnership, so that there's a little bit more flexibility. And I'm also looking at when I retire, possibly working through my CFI and doing some instruction, because I love to teach.
Absolutely. I think that's awesome. I mean, I think a lot more of us should probably be doing that to give a little bit back.
Well, it does take time.
It takes a lot of time, yeah. Especially, if you've got, like it's a side job, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
I think you'd be great at that, so something to look forward to in the future. What else? Anything else? I mean, we've had some just great conversation tonight. We've been sitting here for almost a couple hours now. I think, just
sun went down
talking,
behind the food truck, so
watching the sunset behind us, and enjoyed some tacos from the food truck, and some nachos that are too spicy for either of us to actually eat.
They're good, but I couldn't eat a lot of them.
Yeah, we're not
not hot food
aficionados.
No, afraid not.
But the beer has been excellent, and
Yes.
the company even better. So thank you very much for getting in touch with me and organizing this meetup for us tonight. That was great.
My pleasure. We tried hard to reach out and drag in some other people, but it just turned out to be us two, which is fine. So
that's all right.
Yeah.
It was fun, fantastic for what it was. And
maybe next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe if we have a little more heads up next time, might be a little bit. A day and a half is not a lot for most people, but
That's right.
I know there's some other folks out there in Charlotte who are maybe listening to this now. So be on the lookout on the social media, and we'll try to give better heads up the next time we plan something. And look forward to meeting you all that are out there.
Yep. Well, you never know, and if you're up in Boston,
Likewise. Yep. Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Well, for Airline Pilot Guide Show, Dr. Steph here in Charlotte, along with Jeff Ward from the Uncontrolled Airspace podcast.
There you go.
Not tripping over my words this time. I wanted to call it something else before, but
That's all right.
all right.
Just say UCAP.
UCAP. Yeah, that's easier. But I feel like we need the whole
It's official.
name in there to make it sound official. Exactly. All right. Well, take care. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Excellent. Did it seem, was it just me, or did it seem like the folks in the background got louder and louder?
They got
and
louder.
louder?
Well, I think there were
It-
more and
it-
more people. Well, actually, it was close to the end of the night there, but there were quite a few people there.
Which means as the night went on, they got drunker and drunker and drunker.
Exactly, and it was
Wow, in a
Tuesday.
span of
so.
7 minutes.
Yes.
Wow, that was pretty amazing.
But no, that was a great meetup. So my thanks to Jeff Ward, and my thanks to him too for recording that, because the prepared podcaster that I am did not manage to bring any recording equipment with me other than my cell phone and a headset. But he actually had an H5 recorder with him, so
Oh,
that's what we
nice.
used. So
No wonder it sounded so great.
I know. He was.
Thank
he
you,
was very
Jeff.
nice. Yep.
Great to hear from you. And as he and Steph said, UCAP is a great general aviation podcast you should check out.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Let's see, Captain Nick, how has
Yes,
your week been going?
Well, it's had the potential to be very quiet. I haven't been flying or anything difficult like that. I've actually spent most of the week, it seems, meeting APG listeners.
Did you say, excuse me, I'm sorry, did you say beating APG listeners?
meeting.
Oh, meeting, I'm sorry. Okay, good. Not supposed to do that.
No, I went across and joined Nev at Heathrow with Tony and Phil, and I'm sure we'll hear a bit from there. The day after that, I went to London. I had lunch with an old Royal Australian Air Force mate who flies to Qantas. He was in on a layover, and we got together for lunch. And I did record a little interview from him, and I'm thinking about making a plain tale of that because it does go on for a little bit longer than we would normally have for a little meetup. And he's a very interesting guy, got a great deal of experience and in the military and in his civil flying. And then just this afternoon, I met up with two younger listeners. They're at university, Ollie and Dan, and I think we'll get a chance to hear from them, I hope, very shortly.
All right. Well, yeah, I have, excuse me, two pieces of audio from meetups that you had this week. Nick, which one would you like me to play first?
Well, why don't we start with Ollie and Dan, and then we can fit Nev in a little while.
That's what Mrs. Nev said.
Wow.
Other APGs, it's the old pilot. You never know when you're going to meet some of the audience. And today has been a very special day because I'm sitting here in one of my local cities, Chichester. It's a beautiful place, full of ancient ruins, Roman walls, old cathedrals, etc., etc. And I was delighted to find out that two of, I won't call them younger listeners, but they're certainly below the median, I think, on age. We've got Ollie and Dan. Now, these guys are both absolutely determined to become commercial pilots at some point, whether it actually be in the military or, pardon me, in civil world. I'm having an IPA, so you'll have to excuse the burps. Anyway, they're currently both at Loughborough University, where they're doing, well, I'll let them tell you all about it. I'm going to introduce Ollie, first of all. Now, he's the smart one that looks like he ought to make a fine Air Force officer. He'll tell you a bit about that as well. So, Ollie, introduce yourself. Tell us all about what you're currently doing and what your future plans are going to be.
Evening, everyone. It's fantastic to be here with Dan and Captain Nick. We're doing our best to represent the younger generation of APG listeners, although not sure how well we're doing that. So Dan and I are both currently second-year students at Loughborough doing air transport management. I'm currently part of the University Air Squadrons, and at the moment trying to decide if I want to go down the Air Force route and fly some pretty exciting aircraft, or whether I want to go orange and fly the commercial way. But that's to be decided. After chatting to Nick, however, my opinion is very much pointing towards the Air Force, not only because of the discounts we get, but anyway, that's me.
So, Ollie, tell me a little bit about what you're currently doing. Not everyone will know what a UAS is.
So the UAS is the University Air Squadrons, and it's basically a way of the RAF trying to recruit students directly into the Air Force as officers, whether it be an intelligence officer, a pilot officer, a logistics officer. There are so many different parameters we can go down. So, for example, the other day I spent the afternoon with 27 Squadron at RAF Odeon. Got to jump seat a Chinook flight through central London and across the approach path into Heathrow, which is fantastic to see those Airbuses and Boeings going above. But typical to American technology, the aircraft went tech on refuel, and we faced significant delays once we got the authorization. But that's the UAS.
Well, having bad-mouthed the Yanks, I don't know if Jeff's going to play this now. Anyway, the other side of me is Dan. Now, Dan's not really aiming at a military career. He's really, I think, more interested in going straight into civil aviation. Now, you're not, well, certainly your parents are not based in the UK, although they are British. So what's the deal with that? And how do you expect to kind of turn your training, your degree into perhaps an aviation career, Dan?
Yeah, hi there, everyone. Dan here. As Nick said, my path's going to be a little more complicated because of my background. I'm originally from the UK, but my parents decided to move out to the Middle East, to Oman, which, for anybody unfamiliar, is just south of United Arab Emirates and Dubai and all of that. I was interested in the RAF at a younger age, and moving out to the Middle East, it did expose me more to the commercial side of things. And also, the way things are with the RAF, I would have to wait a few more years to be able to even apply, which is, I'm sure for many young people interested in aviation, you want to jump straight in. And so to wait those 2 more years and sit in an office, it's not too appealing. But yeah, for me, in terms of my degree, I think one of the main reasons I did it was because it's nice to have a fallback at the end of the day. You never know if you're going to have some kind of issue that prevents you from getting a class 1, whether it be your eye or something else. And when it comes to that first job, it's always nice to have that as well going for you when it comes to recruitment, because it's very difficult to get that first kind of job in there. So I'm hoping it'll pay off. I'm hoping to get straight onto my commercial stuff when I've done with university. Next year I'm actually on an internship in Washington as part of my degree. So if there's any APGs out there looking for a meetup, I should be around there next year. Hopefully Jeff, Dana and Nick get a few flights over there as well, so hopefully see them, and maybe even Steph, you never know. But yeah, so I think to answer the question, I think that to me, when I first started, the degree did seem a waste of time, if you like, and it's more my parents who pushed it. But I think in the long term, it will be a wise decision I would have made, and I look forward to getting on with my training. But right now, I'm enjoying the university life.
It's great to hear from two guys who are so keen to get into aviation and are lucky enough to be starting out on their careers. Just reminds me of how mine kicked off, which was sweeping floors in a flying club. But by the by, not sweeping floors in a flying club, but I want you to both now just give me your, in a few words, your ideal career as you would like it to pan out for you. Ollie.
For me now, it would be an RAF Maltese pilot when I graduate for 15 years or so, and then straight into commercial road flying long haul for airlines. But that's me.
Well, that sounds great. Well planned out. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, for me, I'd love to somehow get straight onto the long haul stuff. That's what I'd really love, and hopefully maybe there seems to be a lot of these Far Eastern carriers where you can do that, such as Emirates, Etihad, and I hope to get into that as soon as I've done my license. But I was saying to Nick earlier, at the end of the day, I don't care what that first leap is, as long as it's got an engine and I'm doing work. That's what the real dream is, and yeah, I look forward to what's ahead.
That's absolutely brilliant. It's been great to have a meetup with these two young men, and I hope to do it again in the future before too long. So I'm just going to leave you from the fabulous Park Tavern where we are. I'm enjoying a very nice IPA. In only a few hours, we'll be having show 269, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully we'll get a bit of this on then. All the best to you. Thanks very much indeed, Jeff. And I'll just ask Ollie and Dan to say goodbye.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys, and really happy to be part of the community.
There you go. Brilliant. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Nick. Great
Very
interview,
nice.
and good to see the young blood coming into our career field.
Oh, absolutely. Keenest mustard they are. Could you understand their English, their accent? Not too much.
I understood
I could
it fine.
understand
Yeah.
them just fine. Understood.
Just fine.
Good.
I can't even get my tenses correct in English. Good grief.
I don't know what you're talking about. Why couldn't we understand it?
Checking.
They're talking too fast for me.
You see how fast I talk? That's how fast I listen.
That's how fast I think. Oh my.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I love the underhanded compliments that Nick gives us.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We love the old Nickster.
Of course.
Yeah, we really do. Well, thank you, Nick. Anything else? Oh, we have the other meetup. You want me to play that as well, or
Yeah, well, that was really down to Nev. He kind of he roped me in on that. So, and he does most of the chit chatting there. So, I think thanks to Nev for this. It's great.
Okay. Well, let's hear from our good friend Nev from Nev Tech Industries.
Hello, it's Nev here, reporting from London Heathrow Airport again on Monday, the 24th of April, and the temperature is rather chilly. It's got a bit cold and it's rainy, but I've got two of my chums here with me. I've got Tony S and I've got Philip Davis here. Hello, Phil.
Hi, Nev.
Are you all well?
Yes, very well, thank you.
You had a very early start this morning, didn't you?
Yes, left home at 5 to 3 this morning.
What time did you get here?
20 to 6.
Well, it wasn't bad going. So traffic's okay?
Yeah, fine, yeah. Nice and quiet that time of the day.
Do you come up here very often at all?
Once every year for a long day. And then my daughter's the other side of the country. So when I'm passing by, I usually stop off for a couple of hours. So 5 or 6 times a year.
Oh, nice. So this is actually quite a nice viewing area here. Nothing like the old days when they had the Queen's building and all the rest of it. But it's actually quite pleasant there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice area. Just a few trees in the way for photography. So it would be a bit awkward for photographers, but I'm just a spotter, so ideal for me. Can see the stuff coming in and out, and does me fine.
See anything nice this morning?
Yeah, there's been a few Dreamliners around that I've needed, and 380s. I think I've seen all the ones that came in this morning, but I've got them all already. But yeah, should get a few more as the day goes on.
Nice, excellent. And here's Tony as well. He's also had a very long journey. What time did you leave this morning?
Hello, Neville. I left at 5 o'clock this morning. I had a 5-hour drive down to Heathrow, and we're just here at the Heathrow Academy watching the planes go by. A beautiful Finnair A350 just taxiing by, which is the first time I've seen one of those.
Yeah, it's pretty nice here, actually, isn't it? Shame the weather's just deteriorated slightly, but yeah, there's some pretty dedicated people here coming from a long distance away. Do you do this very often?
No, I've just took the opportunity. I'm down here with work, so I was in the area and I thought I'll pop into Heathrow, and I've got a chance of meeting the legendary Neville and Phil and possibly Captain Nick this afternoon. So who could refuse that? Yeah, I have heard actually that Nick's going to get his credit card out and treat us all to lunch later on. So that'll be a first, won't it? But so where you come from, Tony, is Teesside your local airport? Teesside is my local airport, but it's not very busy. We don't get anything like this at Teesside or even Newcastle Airport. So when I get the chance to come to Heathrow, you get to see a lot of the aircraft from all over the world, which is really interesting. Do you get any freight operations into Teesside at all? We get very little. It's mainly a general aviation airport now. We get the odd KLM flight in, but no, it's quite disappointing, to be honest. There's not much traffic into Teesside Airport. It's amazing, really. I used to do that route a lot on British Midland from Heathrow to Teesside, once a week sometimes in the good old days. But if they stopped, obviously British Midland's been acquired by British Airways now, but do they still run that service? No, that service is finished, but hopefully with the expansion of Heathrow on the third runway, it's possible they might open new routes into Durham Tees Valley, or Teesside as it's more commonly known. That would be great, wouldn't it? Certainly, I think it's really important to have regional stuff like that. So anyway, right, well, that's it for now. Next report probably will be from the pub, I'm pleased to say. So catch you guys later. Well, we've now decamped inside because the weather has turned a bit nasty outside, very cold and windy as well, considering we're coming into the back end of spring. But here I am in the pub with Tony, with Philip and with Nick. So Tony, been a good day so far? It's been very good, Neville. Yes, we've been watching the planes. We've just had a spot of lunch. I've had some fish and chips with great company. I've been listening to Nick's stories and with Neville and Philip talking about aviation. What can be better than that?
Do you come down here very much at all?
No, so I don't come down very often, but when I get the chance, if I'm in the area, I like to call in and watch the planes. Because where I'm from in the northeast of England, we don't get the chance to see many big wide-body planes coming in and out. So when I'm in London, I'll pop to Heathrow and watch the planes for a bit.
Certainly a great spotting place, isn't it? Well, right underneath the aircraft. And anyway, good to see you as well, Philip.
Yes, thanks, Steph. It's been great. Let's say it's seen plenty of good planes so far. More to come later on, hopefully, as long as we don't get too wet.
Well, no, I was going to say the weather is looking a bit better now, isn't it? But have you come here very often in the past?
Yeah, I usually make an annual trip to spend the whole day. And I'm lucky that my daughter lives the other side of the country, so I have to pass by here. So I usually stop off for 2 or 3 hours at a time. So 5 or 6 times a year I come in. So fair enough.
And we can hear the planes right in the background as well. So thanks, gents, for coming. Really appreciate it. And joining us as well is Captain Nick Anderson. And great to see you again, Nick.
Hi there, Nev. It's an absolute pleasure to see you. And thank you very much indeed for lunch. Jeff, we're going to have to do something special for Nev at Pittsburgh because he's just brought us all gorgeous lunch. And we're having a marvelous time here. I'm listening to the stories of these guys doing their spotting. Their interest in aviation just amazes me. I love it. The fact that they enjoy the APG makes them heroes in my mind. So I'm delighted to be down here, taking a few hours out of my day to come meet them, and look forward to seeing them again sometime in the future, perhaps.
Yeah, it's been a great day, isn't it? And thank you very much indeed, gents, for coming. It's been absolutely superb. Thank you.
All right, that's it. Great audio. Thank you, Nev, for sharing that with us, and Nick for joining them.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It was a nice day. You could definitely have a great interest in aviation. The things they could tell me about all the different paint schemes and airlines and aircraft types and who was going where, how, and why. I was very impressed.
Yes, me too. Now, for some reason, my video is not working.
Well, that's what you get for
I've been playing around a little bit.
Putting stuff up, trying to make us laugh.
Yeah, well, I'm just, sharing some of my screen stuff, Yeah, I was just trying to do a good job of host. Apparently, I screwed up. All right. Well, we'll just see. You know what I can do? I can switch cameras, I think, maybe. Although you'll see the side view.
Do what Nick did and switch cameras and then reset the one and then.
Wait, time out. That's not a strange look for Jeff. That's how Jeff looked last week.
This is true. This is the way. This is the way that all my co-pilots see me.
No, that's how Steph saw you last week when she was on the show.
Yes.
Oh, okay. There we go.
There you go. Oh yeah, that shirt is still pretty yellow. It's more gold in this camera, but it's pretty yellow.
Okay. Yeah, it's yellow gold. I forgot what they call this color, but
you know, Jeff, you could tape the drywall and paint the walls.
That's the basement. I don't care.
Oh, okay.
I like it unfinished.
That's what I heard about you.
Yeah, I'm an unfinished personality. Okay, or a personality in work or something. I don't know. I have to know where to look. Over there. There you guys are. Over there. Okay. Let's see. So we got 3 meetups out of the way, I think. Or is that number 4? I don't know. Let's see. I had a meetup, by the way. Not long after we did last week's show on was it Saturday? No, it was Sunday that somebody from the UK came into town, and if you've been watching any of the audio or the aviation podcasts recently, you've seen this guy over and over and over again. His name is Adam Spink. He works at the Heathrow Tower, and he was here in Atlanta at Acme Airlines for a big conference. And so we, when I say we, I mean dispatcher Mike and I and Adam met up, and here is a little bit of audio from that.
What am I, chopped liver?
And Dana had chopped liver. We are at the brake pad. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. I'm not up to Nick's standards here, so let me see.
So where was my invite?
Well, there goes that app. It just crashed. Dang it.
That's
Nice.
karma from not inviting me.
He's ignoring you now. He's like, shh.
Shh. We're doing a show, Dana. We're doing a show right now, Dana.
I'm not saying anything ugly.
It's all right. HR has noted your grievance, and we'll pass it along to the appropriate parties.
Talk to Mike.
I know Mike up in Maine understands exactly what I said.
Dispatcher Mike's the one that coordinated this whole thing. I have nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Blame him. Okay, hang on.
Mm-hmm.
Quiet on the set. I can mute you. Don't make me do that. That's not it. Damn it.
No swearing on the set.
What is going on here? We are at the brake pad restaurant and bar. I don't know. What is this place called? Brake pad. And you would think that that's not a great name for a place to get something to eat and drink, but it's actually not bad. So we've had some good beer and great food, and of course the best part of it is the company. And I'm here with Mike Carroll's Dispatcher Mike, and a special guest all the way from across the pond. We have Adam Spink, and I know that many of you who listen to the APG and also listen to PTUK and Plane Safety have heard a lot from Adam recently. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I should just not do this recording because you probably heard too much from Adam. Nah, no such thing. Anyway, so he is here over in the States, actually in Atlanta for a conference. And when Dispatcher Mike and I heard that he was going to be here, we thought we need to get together and have some good conversation along with good food and good beer. So, Adam, welcome to Atlanta.
Thank you very much, Steph. Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm here for a conference about GBAS. So 4 days starting tomorrow. So by Thursday night when I fly back to the UK, I'm sure my brain will be frazzled with all the technical things that have been discussed at the conference. But yeah, looking forward to it.
So so you're here for some kind of a bass fishing something or other?
Yeah, it's GBAS, which I know has been spoken about on the podcast a few times, ground-based augmentation system. So the future may be in terms of precision landing aids, but so this conference is basically airlines, airports, air navigation service providers all getting together and discussing the challenges of introducing this new system and how we can accelerate it.
Have you been to Atlanta before, or is this your first visit?
No, this is my first visit. Yep, so it's interesting to look out the window of my hotel and see 3 arrival streams. So maybe taking a few notes on how that works.
What do you think of our wonderful weather?
It was very nice yesterday when I arrived, very nice and balmy. This morning was a bit colder, a bit cooler, but there was a big rain shower that just went through as we arrived at the restaurant here. So yeah, not great, but hopefully should improve the next few days.
I would imagine that it's probably not too different than the kind of weather that you get where you're from, right?
No, certainly we're used to the rain. I actually, Dispatcher Mike picked me up from my hotel earlier. I showed him my umbrella, so I bought my own umbrella. Very British thing to do. We didn't quite see the wind that accompanied the rain earlier in the UK, but yeah, we're known for our rain.
What do you call it? A brelly or something like that?
Brolly.
Brelly. Okay. Mike.
Hey, hello, APG crew. Yeah, this got started when Adam sent Captain Nick a message about good places to eat around the Atlanta airport, and Nick said, I don't know. I don't stay by the Atlanta airport. And so he sent me my way, and then this has kind of been on the books and planned to come together, get everything, everybody together to go ahead and do this. Hopefully, I was planning on hopefully taking Adam flying around Hartsfield Jackson, around the surface area, just to show him what the 3 arrival streams and the departure streams look like from the air. But and ask him if we could get this close at Heathrow to maybe do the same thing, which I already know the answer is. But unfortunately, the weather today didn't work out. So, but I'm really excited about GBAS. We learned a little bit about it in our dispatcher training this last recurrent class last week. So I actually knew what GBAS was to start with, and I knew that our new airplane was going to have it. But other than that, no, it's a great time being out here.
I think G-Bass is Lance Bass's younger brother, right? He has a deep voice. Oh, never mind. Okay, I'm sorry. Bad joke. All right. Well, that's a little taste of our meetup, little mini meetup here in College Park, I guess is the exact locale, at the Brake Pad restaurant. And no, I wouldn't call it a brewery, but restaurant and bar. Yeah, it's an all gas station. It's pretty cool, actually. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and it's been great being with you guys here today.
Cheers. Cheers. See ya.
How'd I do, Captain Nick?
Very nice, sir. Very good. Very natural.
Just on the fly there.
Great,
very
great
seamless.
speaking voice.
He keeps one-upping us on the audio feedback. So
I know. Well, I can't even remember to bring my own audio recording device. So
okay, well, let's.
Nobody
see.
ever wants to meet up with me.
Never want to meet up with any of us. We never see you on the anywhere. So hey,
I'm only kidding. I did have a couple opportunities. James and Columbus.
There you go.
And, oh my God, I'm having a brain fart.
I haven't met that person. Very
The
unusual name.
Raptor pilot out of Florida.
The Raptor pilot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember you telling us about him.
Yeah. I'll remember his name here in a minute, but that's my bad.
Hey, no problem. We'll just fit it in. We'll edit it in, and you'll never know. What's that noise? Somebody is coming in or leaving. Is Julie leaving?
I'm sorry. Let me mute it.
That's okay.
I'm right above the garage here in the house.
Okay. Yeah, last week I heard that sound too, and I'm thinking, what? I was looking all around trying to figure out where that was coming from, and then I realized when I was doing the editing, I went, "Oh, I think I know what that sound is. I think that's coming from Dana's house, garage door." Okay, so let's see here. So we got all those meetups out of the way. There's one more meetup actually that we'll go ahead and play since we're on the meetup theme at the beginning of the show here. And this was sent in. Well, I'll let them just tell you themselves. Nope.
Hello, APG or
not yet.
Eric is his name, by the way. I remember
Eric. Okay, very good.
Hello, APGers. This is Dave, Abby. I'm here in Teterboro, New Jersey, where I've spent an incredible day with another great member of the APG community, and I'll let him say hello.
Hi, guys. Hi, APG listeners, wherever you are. It's Amar Akkad from Teterboro. I'm normally from Toronto, but this week I'm from Teterboro.
Yep, and Amar has been extremely generous with his time. Amar is down from Toronto at the coming to the Flight Safety International Training Center in Teterboro to get some recurrent training on the Falcon 900 EX, which he flies for his career. And so today he had a couple of sim sessions, and thanks to the great APG community building captained by Jeff and company, we got to meet today for the first time and spent about 8 hours together, and we didn't get along too well, but I think it worked out okay. So I sat in on a couple of sim sessions that Amar generously invited me to. An incredible experience. And how did your training go, Amar, this week?
Well, I thought it went pretty good, but you commented my landings were a bit hard. So, anyways, but no, the training went very good. Just you know, you get pretty tired when you're doing this 1 week, and you're here every 6 months, and it's sort of the same old thing. But this time around was a lot more interesting. I've been doing, it's more focused on HGS training, heads up guidance, enhanced vision approaches, low vis approaches. So that's been pretty good. So I'll be here till the 26th. By the time this comes out, it's in June or July or maybe next year. But I gotta say, thanks to Captain Jeff and Airline Pilot Guy Show, because if you didn't do this wouldn't have been possible. I wouldn't have met Dave or David, and yeah, you know, it's just amazing. I feel like I have friends everywhere I go, and the moment I saw David, felt comfortable with him. It's like I've known him for years. So way to go, Captain Jeff. Awesome community.
Yeah, I second that. We really, really appreciate it, and we both unfortunately won't make the Pittsburgh meetup, although we wish we could. So, you know, when I asked Captain Bell if he could just push it back a week or two, but I guess that's not going to happen. But anyway, just wanted to say thanks. We loved meeting up. Had a great time. Got each our new friends, and thanks again to you. And take care. Bye bye.
Excellent. Yes, it's so great to hear of all these people all around the world. I mean, I literally mean all around the world. We hear meetups over in the Netherlands, in the UK, and you know, as in this case in New Jersey. It's just so cool to see that you're not waiting for us, the crew, to be there. I mean, you don't need us.
Nah, we're not important at all. Just
no. We
carry
just
on
happen to
amongst
be the
yourselves.
ones just blabbing every week about whatever. You know, it's really everybody listening right now. That's what makes this this whole thing great, I think. So thank you for doing that, for meeting up with each other and sharing your passion, and we'll do our best to continue to share ours as well, as long as you keep sending us money. No, I'm just kidding. That's great. So thank you, David, for recording that. That was awesome.
Jeff, you need to hold up $100 bills when you do that.
I know. And Dana was holding up several $100 bills, which kind of,
yeah.
Is that the way you get paid, Dana? I mean, I get like a direct deposit to my bank. Do they actually give you cash?
It's $100 bills.
What is going on?
They pay me not to come to work. They
Dana's
don't want me on property.
For every day you don't show up, they're like, here's $100.
For every day that show up, here's $500. Please don't come in.
The best.
You don't look good in that uniform.
It makes the tax, filling out the tax forms really easy. Zero income.
It's perfect. Yeah, I normally can.
The best.
I actually, because I do ride my motorcycle, it's always a very good idea to have cash. And I had a buddy of mine that flipped his motorcycle out in the middle of nowhere in North Georgia, and the tow truck showed up, and they laughed when none of us had cash. So since that day, I always carry at least several bills in there.
I carry several $100 bills when I fly with Dana, because you never know when you're going to need it to bail them out. Just kidding.
Well, I was going to say I'm in the wrong profession, because all I have here at my desk is some loose change.
Oh, we feel so sorry for Steph. Dr. Steph, I should add.
Well, there's a reason why you carried $1 bills, Jeff. I'm just not going to say why in there.
For my tips. When I'm riding in the van. That's why.
Yeah, what type of tips, Jeff?
I give great advice. Okay. Let's see. So I'm looking through here at our little audio files from all the different meetups. I think we actually knocked them all out. So let's see. We do have some more things to talk about, though. Wings over Pittsburgh. Yay, it's only 2 weeks away, basically. I'm going to be arriving on just shy of 2 weeks on Wednesday. So Thursday, a lot of folks are going to be showing up at Pittsburgh International Airport in Coriopolis. And let's see, I have in my notes here, T-shirts. Okay, so I had mentioned on the last show that I am going to, and by the way, people are asking, well, how much are the shirts and how much, how do we pay you? Don't worry about it. It's my gift to you, the gift from the Airline Pilot Guide crew to all those who are actually going to be at the air show in person And so we're, if you would please, in just a couple more days here, I'm going to have to put in the order for the actual shirts, which are going to be a camouflage version of a shirt, and it's going to have the APG Over Pittsburgh and the Acme logo on it. And we need to hear from you. If you're going to be attending the air show, please send an email. Now listen closely, because many of you apparently didn't hear me. Don't send it to the feedback email. Send it to jeff@airlinepilotguy.com. jeff@airlinepilotguy.com. And in the subject line, put t-shirt or wing WOP t-shirt or something like that. And that way I'll be able to see your request for a shirt, and I'll put you on the spreadsheet. And then I'm going to order some heat transfers and the shirts. And here in my man cave / print studio, I'm going to print those up for everyone, and I'm going to bring them with me and distribute them when I'm in Pittsburgh. So again, contact me. If you want a t-shirt, they're free. Jeff@Airline Pilot Guy. And Dana, would you like one? Even though you're not going to be there?
Please, because I don't have any Acme shirts.
You can tell me the song. You know what? I have a tip for you. After we talk a little bit more about Wings Over Pittsburgh, where you can go to get your APG gear. Let's see. Twitter. Oh yeah, somebody was asking. Okay, so are there going to be any meetups? Well, of course. The whole point of us going up there is to meet the community. And the official meetup that we have set up is Saturday night, where we're going to do a live recording and a big meetup at the hotel at which we're most of us are staying, the Courtyard by Marriott Hotel, right across the street from the front gate of the 911th Reserve Airlift Wing. Again, that's the I think was it 450 Charrington Parkway or something like that in Coriopolis. Again, that's the Courtyard by Marriott, right across the street from the Reserve Wing. And we're going to have the meetup there at 7 o'clock on Saturday night. But many of us are going to be in there. As I said, I'm going to be there on Wednesday night. I'm going to have a meetup with Micah and his friend Eric. And Thursday and Friday and probably Sunday, we're going to be all hanging around somewhere. So I think the best advice from us is to follow us on Twitter at APG Crew, and we'll try to be good. Nick and Steph, remind me to put out, or we can all do this together, put out tweets about where we are, what we're planning on doing, where we're going to be for lunch, where we're going to be for dinner. And so there are going to be several little micro meetups during the time that we're all there. And also, if you don't have the Swarm app on your phone, you can install it for free. Again, that's SWARM, Swarm. It's part of the, what do they call that? The Foursquare app or something like that. But anyway, it's called Swarm. And you can put in a request to become a friend, and just look for Captain, CAPTAIN, Jeff. And I'll say, sure, you can be my friend. And then I'll try to remember to, check in at various places so you can kind of keep track of where we are. So that's what we have to say about meetups. Anything to add to that, Steph or Nick?
I don't think so. I think that covers it for meetups.
Okay. Let's see. Micah wanted us to mention that there is a special prohibition against bags larger than 12 by 12 inches. I'm not sure how many centimeters that is. You'll have to do your own metric conversion. But anything more than 12, basically a foot by a foot bag, has to be made of clear material, or they will not be permitted on base. Strollers and folding lawn chairs are permitted. Pop-up canopies, so those of you coming over from overseas, do not bring up your pop-up canopies. No, whatever. All bags are subject to search. There will be metal detectors prior to base entry, no exceptions. And they have on this list, I'll put a link to this in the show notes, things that are prohibited. Backpacks, I guess unless they're clear. Duffel bags, coolers, scooters, pets. Oh, taco. Steph, you can't bring taco. Balloons.
Absolutely heartbroken, by the way.
Brass knuckles? What?
Don't bring them. Leave them at home.
Man. Okay.
Jeff.
Box cutters, fireworks. Dang it. Well, darts, alcoholic beverages. Oh, that's a big, oh well.
Anyway. Sorry, Jeff, what did you just say there? Alcoholic beverages.
Your
Nick, this
own
is for you.
alcoholic beverages.
Illegal drugs. Got to leave them at home. Water guns. That's what the list says. Uniforms worn by non-military persons. Uh-oh. I hope they don't think that our camouflage t-shirt is a uniform. Anyway, so we'll put a link to that in the show notes. Also, Micah gave us a nice link to Amazon.com for some representative clear backpacks and such. So we'll hopefully have all that in the show notes for you to check out. So again, looking forward to meeting you all at the Wings Over Pittsburgh Air Show. If you want your APG Over Pittsburgh t-shirt, please contact me, Jeff at airlinepilotguy.com. Okay, let's see. And then finally, speaking of APG gear, Steph and Captain Nick, especially Captain Nick and myself, have been working on merchandise, and we have a couple different ways now. We've been using Teespring for a while. That's still an option. And by the way, at some point, you'll be able to actually find our APG t-shirt on Amazon.com, but I don't think it's there yet. But Teespring is a way to get double-sided, so if you want the, relax electronic devices powered on, that kind of thing on the back, you'll have to go order your shirt through Teespring. But I think it's mostly US only now, the way we have it set up. But do not despair. We have Redbubble or Redbubble.com. And you can, that sounds fancier, doesn't it?
Sounds like a singer.
Yeah. Michael Bublé or whatever his name is.
Yes.
Anyway, you can find, not only can you find t-shirts, you can find different designs of shirts and stuff, but I mean, they have travel mugs, they have coffee
cases
mugs,
and
phone cases. I ordered a laptop, what do they call it? A skin for the top lid of my laptop that has the APG kind of in a large print and diagonally situated. So iPhone cases, pillows, they have all kinds of stuff, scarves. I think they might even have leggings.
They have the latest dresses. They have duvet covers.
The leggings are great.
Yeah, the whole 9 yards.
All kinds of crazy stuff. And so if you're in the UK or in Europe, I guess they have it's set up so that they can print it over there, and your shipping doesn't cost so much, and it doesn't take so darn long to get to you. So check it out. Now, the only downside to Redbubble is the fact that if you're going to order a shirt, it's only one-sided printing, so it's only going to be whatever you see on the front of the shirt. For some reason, they don't do double-sided printing, as far as I can figure out.
No, they definitely don't. I have been onto them.
Okay, very good. All right, so if you want to check out that, head over to airlinepilotguy.com/store. That's airlinepilotguy.com/store. STORE. I think we made it to our intro section. Now that we're
1 hour exactly.
second hour of the show. I know.
Well, we covered a lot of important stuff with we were very social this week, so
it was worth it. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, you might not think so, listener, but we do. Okay, so that means we should move on then to the Java Jive. And the Java Jive, we'll try to make this quick today, is your way to support the show financially. Again, you can head over to our great website. Arash kind of manages that. Thank you, Arash. And again, that's airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. And you can use a couple different methods to contribute to the show. The Coffee Fund Classic method, and since the last show, we've had 3 folks do that. Matthew Buntingframe in Australia sent us a very nice contribution to the beer fund he specified. And Tony Stubbings, also, thank you very much, Tony. And Steve Trumbull, he's a recurring contributor via the Coffee Fund Classic method, which is PayPal. And the other way to do it is by becoming a patron of the show via Patreon. And new patrons at Patreon since the last show are Steve Andrus, Stephen Perry, and a new executive producer, the $5 per episode level and up is Chris Elrod. Thank you very much for your generous contributions. Later in the show, oh, you can't hear the Java Jive?
No.
Nope.
Okay. Well, I'll just have to edit that in after we record here, but I'm hearing it. Okay. Anyway, let's see, where was I? Oh, later in the show, we're going to be mentioning those who are part of the top 3 categories, executive producers and up. And so I look forward to naming all those great folks. But again, if you want to become a producer, just $1 is all it takes to become a patron at the producer level and to receive the what do we call it? The APG crew log, a periodic recording of some extra stuff that we put out there for our Coffee Fund cadre. So thank you again very much for your wonderful contributions to the show. We do appreciate it. Okay, so let me turn off the music that's playing in my ear, which you can't hear, and try to figure out why it is that you're not hearing it. Can you hear it now?
Nope.
Nope.
Wow, that's weird. It says you're supposed to be able to hear it.
It lies.
It
Whatever
does.
it is.
It lies like a cheap Changi watch.
Oh, I see now. Yeah. Okay. How about now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think I know why. The that app crashed, and so when I restarted it, it didn't make the connection with the audio hijack virtual mixer. Okay, so let me turn that off. Anyway, I can just fix that in post. No problem. All righty. And now, time for the news.
Stand by for news.
Exactly, Miami Hick. What's it doing now? Don't know. But I'm pretty sure it has something to do with pilot error. Okay, we'll start off with this one. This is an interesting one. Were you able to, any of you able to watch this video at all from the Kansas City International Airport?
No, and I hadn't even heard about this one.
They didn't
It's just
really.
been too
Yeah,
saturated.
I didn't really see a lot of play of this on a national level here in the U.S. But we'll put a link to the article in the show notes where you can watch this video. But basically, there's some surveillance footage showing the tense moments leading up to an altercation last week between a pilot and a passenger at Kansas City International Airport in Missouri, KMCI. The video shows 2 men entering the airport through an American Airlines gate on April 12th. Actually, they're exiting. They have just come in from a flight, and they have exited the security gate, and they're in that kind of that inner ring where you are between where the gates are in Kansas City and where the street is, where all the
That's the airport where all the gates kind of have their own individual security.
Yeah, because they designed the thing, before 9/11 and all the security, and it was very convenient. Now it's kind of crazy because they've had to adapt the airport and security, and seems like a huge waste of resources. But every 3 or 4 gates has a full contingent of TSA security people. But anyway, so this security footage, I can't believe that a journalist was wrong, but was actually not, inside of security, was outside, and they were leaving. And he was heading toward his car or whatever when so the surveillance video shows one man wearing a pilot's uniform, the other is wearing a blue shirt, later identified by authorities as Edward Foster, a passenger. Foster appears to follow the pilot through the airport, arguing with him. Foster told authorities the altercation began when the pilot, who was traveling as a passenger on the same flight, so he was probably commuting home, was, quote, taking up too much room on the aircraft and being disrespectful, according to an incident report filed by the Kansas City International Airport Police Department. That led Foster, the angry passenger, to follow the pilot outside the secure area in an attempt to take a cell phone photo of his badge. So the guy's, he has his phone and he's trying to walk in front of the pilot to get a picture of this guy's badge. And basically, I'm not going to read any more of the article, but the pilot sees this guy, running in front of him with a camera phone, and he's trying to take a picture of his badge, and he basically knocks the phone out of his hand, and that, of course, upset the passenger, and then the two just start going at it, and they're like tussling, like pushing each other and having a fight and all that kind of stuff. So
I read about that one.
Yeah, did you? So he was, I guess the passenger was arrested. He was charged with intentionally inflicting injury on the pilot. His court date is set for May 16th. He could face a fine or up to 180 days in jail. So I thought you need to check out the video, because it's kind of like, whoa, now I got to worry about passengers like attacking me in the concourse. Oh man. Yeah.
There's just no respect. Yep.
Just no respect.
I was having the conversation. Actually went to the doctor's office today and having the conversation about that exact issue. And the real issue is that this latest thing with United, and of course now American, back in the day, not too long ago, nobody had cell phones with cameras. Now everybody has a cell phone with a camera, and everybody wants to video record and do all this stuff. So it's actually causing some issues, as we're seeing with Oak City. I mean, not Oak City, but Kansas City. And I don't know.
It really has changed to a certain extent a lot of what we do. I know that now, and of course we always did the right thing, but I'm saying that there are times during the year where there might be a little something on the top of the wing that maybe just a slight little dusting of something that wouldn't be something that we'd be concerned about at all. But now we have to think, wait a minute, is this a Kodak moment? Is this going to be, a passenger with their phone taking an image or a video of the wing of my airplane, and we decided it wasn't worth going through de-ice, but now they have a recording of us, operating an airplane without going through de-icing procedures. And so it really affects the way we operate, probably for the best in a lot of ways. But then on the other hand, there's the other side of this, which is the bad behavior now that we're seeing a lot of. So,
yeah. Well, and I think the problem too is that a lot of times you get these short clips of recordings because as something's going on, people, they're like fumbling for their phone, like, ooh, let's take a video of this and put it on social media. But you've missed the beginning part of whatever happened. So I think you're in a lot of cases seeing one side of the story. And that's what kind of gets me about a lot of these things. It's like, yeah, there was bad behavior clearly on multiple, sides or on both sides of the issue, but what happened leading up to this? And I don't think you can get the whole story or know what was
going on. You don't have the full context of what's going on or what happened before the video started. And that's a case in point is the American Airlines incident with the lady with the stroller and everything else. And I was reading some other reports from other passengers saying, well, this really all started way in the back of the airplane, not in the first, in the front part of the airplane where the first class passenger got up and started saying, and started getting into it with the flight attendant, the male flight attendant. And they said, no, there's more to the story. And let me tell you about it. So, we can't know exactly everything unless there are cameras continually running, which I hope that we never get to that point, but I guess we might, to capture every single moment and every single word uttered by people and everything else. But bottom line is, folks, come on, just, be civil to each other and, don't act crazy. And by the way, I should mention that, Dana, I don't know if you heard about this, but I think it was just very recently, I just saw in the news, our airline had an incident where a guy was getting up to use the bathroom when they were like number 2 or 3 in line for takeoff, and they told him to sit down. He couldn't because he was about to pee in his pants apparently, and so they went back to the gate and told him to get off the airplane. He refused, so they deplaned everybody from the flight, and then they boarded again, except they didn't let that guy get back on. And I'm thinking,
wow,
I'm not sure that was the right way to handle that situation. But again, I wasn't there. I don't know all the details. We only see what we see on reports, news reports, and a lot of times, as we are well aware, they don't quite get it right.
No.
So we're not really sure exactly what happened in that case. But yeah, as Miami Hick just said, Delta P. No, we're not talking about pressurization differential.
Ding.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's not going to be long before we get CCTV cameras throughout the inside of the aircraft, so that we record every cabin and the actions of everyone on board. I'm sure, because we've already got it all over other types of transport, trains and buses in the UK. I don't know about the States, but it really wouldn't surprise me that we'll soon be able to pull up a full recording of passenger problems or crew problems, if that's what it turns out to be, and be able to submit that in court, or at least use it to debrief people on a better way of addressing some of these problems.
You are absolutely correct. And I really failed everybody because I forgot to start that whole last incident with this sound clip. Oh, it's not very loud. Haven't heard that in a while.
I feel like for these past 2 weeks, it should have just been on, repeat, on loop.
Like just in the background.
Playing it. Yes.
Well, we can kind of keep it going because there's another incident. Go ahead, Nick.
I was just going to say, you guys travel in uniform a lot when you're deadheading?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, the problem there lies when you're in uniform and a representative of your airline, you just have to be so careful about your behavior. And, it's so easy to have the airline turn around and you say that you didn't handle a situation with a disgruntled passenger. And the fact that you were wearing a uniform makes you liable for disciplinary action. So I don't know about this guy and the problems that he's having. And I realize that it looks like he's being supported by his airline. But it seems to me that the best way when you've got one of these problems is just try and calm the bloke down. And if necessary, you call the airline staff over to sort the guy out rather than try and take him on yourself. But it's such a difficult thing. You've got to be so careful when you got your badges on, got your uniform on, to make sure that your personal behavior is absolutely above reproach.
That's correct. I mean, I'm glad you brought that point out because, you're representing your airline and you may actually be riding on another airline, but you're still, you're representing the airline profession as a whole. So you should behave yourself. Now, maybe this guy wasn't doing anything wrong. Maybe the passenger took something the wrong way. I don't know, but we don't know. We'll probably never know. But that's a good point. You have to be very, cognizant of the fact that, you are representing your airline in the least and the whole industry at the most. So
yeah, at the least you need to ensure that you do nothing that puts your job in jeopardy.
That's right.
Absolutely correct. Couldn't agree with you more.
All right. This one, we'll just talk quickly about this one, but I thought it was kind of cute, this article about this Midair meltdown fueled by duty-free whiskey and free champagne that forced a Boeing 747. Yay. To
There's a combination.
Manchester. I think she was woohooing the free whiskey and free champagne.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
So,
so if we bought it in duty free.
Father of two. I'm not sure what the pertinence is to this.
Context is all context.
Okay.
Right. Now we have the background.
Okay. Zai Lebhart, 31 years old, got so nervous on board the Canada-bound flight from Frankfurt, he repeatedly locked himself in the toilet where he screamed and ripped panels off the walls. The crew on board tried to calm down the former Israeli army captain, but Lebhart, who had been drinking duty-free whiskey and champagne, began spitting in the aisle. The captain was alerted amid fears that he might cause a major incident over the Atlantic. The Lufthansa 747 flight made an emergency landing. I don't know. This is not an emergency landing. This is a diversion. Let's call it what it really is. in Manchester, 3,700 miles from its destination at Toronto, after the captain was forced to dump up to 36 tons of fuel, and Lebhart and his luggage were removed. The plane took off again 2 hours later, but the airline estimated the cost of the diversion at 20,000 euros due to other passengers missing connecting flights. The bill didn't include the cost for unexpected grounding, nor the cost of the refueling. So this, let's see, he was given a 3-month suspended jail term and an order to pay £200 in costs after the JPs were told he was being sued by Lufthansa for the cost of diverting the flight. So let me scroll down to the really good part here. Lebhart said, "I'm quite shocked and devastated. It never happened to me in my entire life. I'm not a drinker."
Yeah, right.
Let that sink in a little bit. "I'm not a drinker. I was just so excited to see my missus. It will never happen again in my life. I swear. I want to come back to my kids and be a law-abiding citizen again. I am a normal person. I'm so ashamed to be in this position." Okay, so this non-drinker, Lebhart, drank 200 milliliters of duty-free whiskey, as well as the complimentary champagne on board the aircraft. Apparently, he actually had a glass of wine on the previous flight from Israel to Frankfurt. Let's see. So, by the way, drinking the duty-free whiskey, which he drank 3/4 of the bottle, is not allowed, according to Lufthansa. And let's see. He returned to his seat and was behaving in an erratic manner. He then spat across the aisle, the saliva landing on the floor. Basically, it goes on, but he ended up being in the aisle of the aircraft, and I think he basically passed out finally. So
it's only a quarter of a bottle of whiskey.
Oh, just a quarter. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, wasn't there just a quarter left?
I don't know.
No, well, it says he drank 200 milliliters. It's 1,000 mils, so 1 liter. So that's not a vast amount. It's certainly enough to make you tipsy.
Well, this says he was shown the bottle of whiskey, which was 3/4 empty.
Oh, so someone's got their milliliters wrong, then.
Yeah, probably so. Huh. Yeah, because it wouldn't, unless it was like a tiny bottle of whiskey. Do they make a smaller bottle?
Yeah,
like
do,
half-liter bottles or something.
Yeah. Well, he's not a drinker, so I mean, I'm sure it wasn't a big bottle.
Nah.
No, couldn't have been. Not possible.
Yeah, okay. Oh, this is the best part of it. Here's a quote. "He is from Tel Aviv, and people say they are very brash and loud and in your face, rather like New Yorkers." I'm thinking, did they really just type that in the to put that in the report in this article? Yes, they did. That is rude. And funny too. Okay, that was from the Manchester Evening News.co.uk. And yeah.
People, come on. I mean, how hard is it to
act like a human being?
Act like a human being. Be nice to everyone. Follow the rules. Don't lock yourself in the toilet and tear it apart. Just, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think personally, what he was, the charge was, or I should say, the result of the charge was pretty light, wasn't it? I mean, I was talking. What did they give him? They gave him a
£200 and a suspended sentence.
But I think
that what their point was is that they did that because they heard that Lufthansa was going to take him for a civil lawsuit to get the 20,000.
That shouldn't affect a criminal court, surely, because Lufthansa may not. They haven't got around to it yet. It may have just been a rumor.
That's true.
Ploy by the defense. So just hit the guy with the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, they should make him pay the whole diversion fee.
Absolutely.
That make people think twice.
Absolutely. All right. Let's see. We have an incident at Denver. This is from the Aviation Herald. An American Airlines A321 at Denver on April 12th rejected takeoff due to an unlocked thrust reverser. Anyway, that's what they say here. I think it actually was something else. I think the unlocked thrust reverser was a result of a compressor stall, but I wasn't there, and I'm not an expert by far. But I do have I put together some audio files from air traffic control, from liveatc.net, and also a video taken from the inside the airplane, just aft of the right wing, where the right engine is, and that's the one that had the trouble on their takeoff roll. It was a V2533 model engine, and so I kind of put all of it together. I tried to be a little creative here, so let's take a now. Also realize that this is put together, some from air traffic control communications, some from inside the airplane. The timing of everything may be a little off.
1820, wind 110 at 10, RNAV kidding runway 8, let's take off. RNAV kidding, let's take off 8, American 1820.
They're rolling down the runway. You can watch the video after the fact here. Everything looks like it's going well, accelerating, and then people are thinking it's a tire. Rejecting the takeoff. Captain, where are you?
Oh my gosh.
Make a PA.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, great.
Okay.
That's the captain. Remain seated. Board and takeoff. American 1820, just turn right at your discretion and give me an update when you're off on the head. We have to stop here momentarily. We got something wrong with the engine. American 1820, roger. Do you require any assistance at all? Stand by. American 1820, should I have the truck start heading up towards you at all? American 1820, I'm going to get the truck set it up towards you unless you can give me an update on what's going on.
Trying to figure out what's going on. Something happened with the number 2 engine. Reversers unlocked. We're trying to figure it out. It's failed.
Okay. Should I send the equipment up your way at all?
Yeah, send it out just in case because we're not 100% sure what's going on yet.
American 1820, trucks are up on the way.
All right, I think what happened is our reverser deployed on takeoff. The engine's fine, but we think that's what happened.
Okay. Op 6, are you with me? Op 6, we're going to show runway 8 closed. And Op 6, I'm going to put American over under a different frequency for you. You can have 120.15, 2015. American 1820, switch to frequency 120.15. 2015 operations is coming your way. They'll be on that frequency.
2015, roger, American 1820.
Op 7, this is Comm Center with an alert. Runway 8, midfield, American 1020 has stuck reversers and engine trouble.
Op 6, copy the alert. Make alert 1 notifications, please.
1, going to be midfield, runway 8.
Approved. What's the problem?
Engine trouble and the reversers are stuck. I don't have any further information.
Thank you.
Comm Center, all red equipment on the east side responding to the alert on runway 8.
Eddie's at the intersection of Romeo 6. At red lead, it's going to be an Airbus A320.
Comm Center, red lead, copy, Airbus A320.
Red lead, command is with you to the alert, runway 8. Runway 8 is closed. Proceed on. Aircraft is parked at Romeo 6 at this time.
Ops command, red lead, copy, confirming runway 8 is closed, and we have clearance to enter runway 8.
That is A firm, sir. He said no indication of any fire, possible pop tire. His thrust reversers did activate on departure, approximately 60 knots, and runway is closed.
Ops command, red lead, copy. Red lead is responding and responding to runway 8.
And red lead, red chief, engine 35. We're going to go ahead and locate gate 5. We'll be standing by there.
Red lead, copy. Ops Command, red lead is on scene. We're at the 12 o'clock initial report. We're not finding anything. I'll give you an update.
Yeah, and it goes on a little bit more. And I thought it was interesting to hear that was both the ground control, actually tower, and also what they called the public safety channel. So the crash fire rescue frequency. Kind of cool to hear what's going on there when they get the alert that something's going on. And some of the comments from this, again, from the Aviation Herald, the last one that I have here was this passenger said, I was on the flight, seat F, row 23, I believe was my row. I still have the ticket, just in case anybody, doubts whether or not he was on it.
Authentic.
Yes. Let me show you a picture. When leaving the aircraft, maintenance stated during the conversation I had overheard, stated that it appears to be a compressor blade stress failure. Scary experience, still freaked out a bit when thinking about it. Now, I think probably what he actually heard was a compressor stall. And perhaps and I'm thinking that maybe during the compressor stall, it like knocked one of the switches for the indication of the thrust reverse activated or whatever. But I mean, maybe the reverse did come out, but I don't think that that's actually what happened initially. I think that that was just a consequence or a symptom of the compressor stall. But again, I'm not there. I didn't, witness it myself, but obviously the crew was kind of perplexed as to what happened as well, but nobody was hurt. And thought it was kind of interesting to hear both from the outside and the inside what happened on this aborted takeoff.
Yeah, you really kind of get the whole picture of
absolutely
being there. That's good.
Yeah, it's amazing how much goes on behind the scenes when something like this happens that normally we are not even aware of.
Right. And I was hoping to get the actual, when they switched them over to 2015, but there was no on live ATC. I had to actually go into live ATC and try to figure out about what time frame this occurred, and I extracted all. Sometimes it's already there, somebody's already done the work, but I was able to get all that stuff and put it together, and so I thought that was kind of fun.
That's a nice job, actually.
So, but unfortunately, we didn't have I would love to have heard the crew talking with the crash fire rescue people to hear that conversation, but didn't have that. Unfortunately.
Out of interest, now this is 3:30, not a 3:20. We've got Captain Al in the chat room, and he's a 3:20 skipper, so he can possibly correct me if there's a difference. But on the 3:30, the FADAC automatically commands the engine to idle and the reverser to stow if at least one door is unstowed by more than 5%, and reverse thrust is not selected while the engine is running. The affected reverser will remain pressurized after affected door is locked back. If the door is still detected unstowed, the engine will remain at idle for the rest of the flight. So there's a fair amount of protection if it does come out. And of course, the reversers themselves have multiple locks, and the hydraulics should be depressurized unless they're physically selected. So it's not a very common occurrence. It's quite common to have a reverser unlock after you've used it, Jeff, which is what you're thinking, I'm pretty sure, because when you close the reversers, sometimes the doors don't completely close, and then a proximity switch will indicate that you still got a reverser unlocked. But exactly what happened here, and we'd have to get some more information.
Yeah, obviously there was a big bang. We heard that in the passenger video, and if you actually, it's worth watching this video that I'll put a link to in the show notes that the passenger took. Or actually, if you look at the Aviation Herald article, it has the YouTube link, but you can actually see the fireball come out the back of the engine. That's why I suspect it was a compressor stall.
Well, it sounds like a still, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did. And it's funny, it's immediately after you hear the bang, you hear some kid go, ah!
I know. I did laugh at that just a little bit. It's just
and
nice,
then another lady
reaction.
almost immediately, as a tire popped.
Yeah.
It did kind of sound like a tire popping. Somebody in the comment said commentary here said that they thought that was the what do they call that hydraulic system, the PTU or whatever. That sometimes we refer to as making that barking dog sound. And there's no, that did not sound like the PTU. That sounded like some kid. Oh, I mean, I hear a dog barking.
Barking dog?
Must be a PTU.
Must be.
That's not to be confused with a PTUK.
Okay. Put them.
Yes. Anyway, so now Captain Al in the chat room here said, I'm waiting for the pan call, the pan call. Well, you know what, Al, here in the U.S., you're not going to really hear that ever. So you're gonna die waiting.
You're not gonna hear a Mayday call either.
Yeah, you hear a few expletives.
Yeah.
What the?
Yeah. But
what the hell? I mean.
Well, we're trained. We just say, we're aborting the takeoff, or we've rejected the takeoff, or aborted the takeoff. I tell my first officer that's what I would like him to do once we have the airplane under control and coming close to a stop. I'll make the PA to the folks, the passengers, as this captain did, and then we're going to try to figure out what's going on and what we need to do from there, and whether we need to initiate an emergency evacuation. And from the looks of it, looks like they did a good job.
Yep.
Let's see. Al says, hearing the bang leads me to believe that the reverser wasn't unlocked, but the top item on the E/WD would be the ECAM for a reverser unlocked, which is semi-spurious. What has he been taking? What kind of drugs is he taking?
The EWD is the engine stroke warning display.
Oh, okay.
And the ECAM warnings come up in order of severity. So a reverser unlocked is considered a pretty serious situation. So that might well have leapt to the top of the list.
Yeah, I agree, Al. I think it's maybe even completely spurious. But I don't know. I guess we'll probably never know unless they do some kind of an update on this. But usually these kind of incidents, you'll never hear a thing about them. It's not like the NTSB is going to do a report on this. So anyway, just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And well put together, Jeff.
And this is a really interesting one as well. Jeff Dangle. Wasn't that a character in that show, that comedy called Reno 911 or something like that?
Oh, was it one of the characters?
Yeah, wasn't that one of the characters, Jeff
Similar
Dangle?
name?
Yeah, they had wore really
sounds right.
tight shorts and
Yes.
and a big mustache. And a guy said that he kept calling me Jeff Dangle. He said, "Yeah, you remind me of Jeff Dangle." I went, and I had to look it up.
Thank you.
That's not a compliment at all. Anyway, Jeff, I'm sure you're a great person. You don't look anything like that character in Reno, whatever it was called.
911. Reno 911.
Okay. Anyway, he sent in some audio from an event that occurred to another American A321. We're not picking on American.
And all these planes were coming to Charlotte too. I'm starting to.
Yeah, wait a minute. Now there might be some kind of a common denominator.
I know.
Yeah, this one was leaving Las Vegas on April 23rd for intending to head to Charlotte. And let's see, got some audio from this. It's kind of interesting, and I really like to hear what the crew, has to say about this.
American 1871, Las Vegas Tower, runway 25 right, line up and wait, report southwest ahead in sight. Line up and wait, 25 right, and we got southwest, American 1871. American 1871, maintain visual separation, wind 18016, gust 21, runway 25 right, clear for takeoff. Okay, clear for takeoff, 25 right, American 1871. American 1871, you ready to go? Ready? Okay, American 1871, let's go clear for takeoff, runway 25 right, maintain visual separation. Okay, clear for takeoff, 25 right, maintain visual separation, American 1871. American 1871, contact departure. Departure, American 1871. The insight. American 1871, roger. Yeah, we had a company come up on departure. It's directing us to shut an engine down, but I don't really want to do it up over these hills.
Does that help?
No, we've got an indication that one of our engines over-temped, and the checklist is directing us to go down to one engine to shut that engine down. I guess we're going to have to declare an emergency and go back to Las Vegas.
Okay, no worries. I thought you meant you couldn't make the restriction. American 1871, you want to return for sure?
Yeah, these new airplanes, they talk to everybody. The engine seems to be running fine, but the checklist says shut it down because it over-temped on takeoff.
Okay, no worries. American 1871 cleared to Las Vegas via radar vectors. Fly heading 090 and pilot's discretion maintain 9,000.
Okay, 090, pilot's discretion of 9,000, American 1871.
American 1871, when you get a chance, you need to hold on board and remain sealed. It's only 17 right, Anderson. 4. American 1871, Roger, descend and maintain 8,000.
That's enough of that. We'll put a link to the audio in the show notes for you to listen to the whole thing. That was about 2 minutes of 3.5. But I'm thinking this is a case where this guy is sharing a little bit more than he should over the radio.
A little oversharing, yes.
Yeah, last night I had a bad call with my wife. We were fighting, and well, the engine, it tells us to shut it down. I don't know. I guess we're going to have to shut it down.
Sounds fine to me. I'm not worried about that over-temp on takeoff. I'm not worried it's going to damage anything or.
It's one of these new airplanes, Just
these newfangled airplanes with all these. They talk to everyone. Someone's going to know if I don't do what it tells me to do.
He was kind of pissed off that he had to do this. It's like, oh, I can't believe this. I was going to go to Charlotte. I had a date in Charlotte lined up with Dr. Steph, and now I'm not gonna...
Oh, that's what happened to my date last week.
That's what happened.
Exactly.
Sunday.
So I guess what he meant when he was, as you kind of alluded to, Dr. Steph, is that this thing talks to everybody as he's doing, and not realizing that it's being recorded, and we're going to talk about it on Aviation Podcast. Everything is being recorded. The modern airplanes, modern engines are being sent. All the data is sent to our headquarters. They know what's happening with the engine, and you have to comply with the procedures. If it tells you to shut the engine down, then I think you should shut the engine down and just keep your mouth shut. But I don't know. What does Captain Al think about all this? He flies the 321, 320 series. We'll see if he has anything to say here in the chat room while we're gabbing about it. But I just thought it was kind of an odd, and so did Jeff Dangle. That's why he sent it to us. He goes, "What do you think of this? What's going on here?"
I mean, the fact is that this warning is inhibited during takeoff. So after 80 knots, you don't actually get the warning come up until you've got airborne. It may be that it was a momentary over temperature during takeoff, and that it backed off a bit, which is why he didn't seem to be too worried about, because he hadn't noticed it during takeoff. But there should be an indication on the EGT gauge the maximum temperature it's gone to, because as soon as you get an over temperature, where the needle gets to, and if
kind of pegs it there, so you know where it went.
Leaves a little red marker there, so you can see what it was. The ECAM actions for a simple EGT over limit are you just reduce the thrust lever until the EGT is within limits again. If you have to bring it all the way back to idle for more than 5 seconds, then you just shut the engine down. So presumably it had been a reasonably serious over temperature for that for the ECAM to give him that. So
okay, so you move the throttles into takeoff detent, right? On the Airbus,
you're in flex usually if you're doing a flex takeoff, yeah.
And so the throttles go and are being controlled by the FADEC on the Airbus, correct?
Yeah.
So how do you end up with an over-temp with that airplane?
Well, for some very good reasons, because the engine itself is a physical piece of kit. It could be a fault with the fuel control unit, pumping a bit too much fuel in there. So it could be a fault with the engine. Any of the monitors or the pressures might be at fault there, allowing the engine to over temperature. So that's engines do have faults.
You know why I'm asking the question. It's not because I don't understand it. It's because maybe some of our listeners wouldn't understand that with such an automated aircraft.
I don't believe you, Dana. But I'm willing to educate you. It's not a problem.
I fly the same engine. I fly the same engine on the 90.
Actually, in this case, it was a CFM 56, but yeah, the other story was the same engine that we have on our 90. But still, it's the same kind of thing. It's an engine that's controlled by a FADEC system, and the FADEC is supposed to take care of this, but it doesn't always. It's a mechanical / computerized.
Computers can
things.
still
Yeah.
have faults and errors. And
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's probably why we're so pissed at by hearing that message.
We used to get these quite regularly out of Nairobi on the A340-300, which has CFM 56s. And Rolls-Royce came back to us and said, the thing you need to do with to prevent this is to ensure that you warm the engines for at least 20 minutes prior to departure. And they said once you've done that, you should be fine, and you should always flex. Some of the guys were using toga because they were just a bit worried because it's quite a high elevation and it's pretty hot there. So they were going, well, I'll take the safe option and use toga for takeoff when it wasn't really necessary. And that doesn't give you very much of a margin at all. Then it's quite likely you're going to over-temp. And if you haven't warmed the engines, got everything nice and thermally stable, then things can just run away a little bit. So yeah, it happens.
Good point.
See, Ray Davis says, thank you for the explanation, Nick. I'm glad I asked the question because some people out there just may not know that answer.
I thought you'd have just dived just straight in. Next time, just feel free to give it yourself, Dana. That's not a problem.
Yeah, but you're so eloquent. You just do such a nice job when it comes to technical data like that.
Yeah, you're full of bull.
Okay, knock it off. Knock it off.
Okay. So Captain Al came through for us in the chat room. He says, it's easy. When you've got more than one engine, then do as it bloody well says.
Voice of reason. Thank you, Captain Al.
Yes, thank you, Captain Al. So you get the bell. Oh, there we go. I need to practice my bell ringing. Let's see. So again, thank you, Jeff, for sending that in. That was an interesting kind of radio exchange that we heard there, but at least we got a chance to talk about FADEC systems and over-temps and that kind of stuff.
And Chatty Cathy's.
Yes.
There you go.
Gosh, we're almost at the 2-hour point. We're still on news. I'll just quickly do this one here. And the reason why I included this in the news is because of the result of this incident. And it was just a typical problem with an engine, United Flight 737-800. And they were performing a flight from Liberia, Costa Rica to Houston Intercontinental in the U.S. And they were climbing out about 90 nautical miles north of Liberia. The crew stopped the climb at flight level 200, reporting another CFM 56 problem. The airport entered a hold to burn off fuel, returned to Liberia for a safe landing about 100 minutes after departure. For those of you who have trouble with math, that's about an hour and 40 minutes, I believe. And so this is the thing.
Thank you. I was the one having trouble with that. So.
Were you not? No. So now we have in this article from, let's see, where did we clip this from? What is the news source? I don't have it written down, but anyway, a United Airlines plane had a terrifying emergency landing after one of its engines overheated over the ocean, according to a reporter who was on board the plane. Yes, a reporter was on the plane. Mm-hmm. United Flight, blah, blah, blah. Here's the quote. This is what he tweeted. One of my plane's engines overheated over the ocean. We about crashed in an emergency landing before the pilot quickly pulled up. So scary, says Jody Genesee, one of the passengers.
Yeah.
They stopped traffic into the Liberia, Costa Rica airport. Fire trucks, ambulances, emergency vehicles waited for us to land. Freaky. We circled over the ocean for an hour to burn fuel before landing. I fly a lot. This was the most frightening thing I've ever experienced.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for Jody.
Yeah.
Yeah, he must live in a little box or something.
Very traumatic.
Yeah.
Very.
Let's see. Should we? Well, Nick, do you want to talk about your short bit of flight simmer news?
No, that's fine. That can go on to something else. It's not
Okay.
great.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to also put off the one about the US may ban laptops on flights from UK airports until next time, just to see what kind of may come from that.
Sure.
Because this is just kind of a rumor at this point. So I think that it would be best now, especially based on the fact that we're so far into the show, that we need to get to your feedback, folks. So hang on, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Captain, incoming message.
Okay, let's see. Let's start with Private Pilot Rich and Dave. Both listen to this podcast, Talking Flight. I don't think I've heard it yet, actually, myself. Talking Flight podcast with Mike Swanigan. And apparently he had a guest on that has written a book. And the book is entitled something. Steep Turn, Physician's Journey, Cockpit ebook. That's probably not the formal title. I'm just getting that from the article.
Steep Turn, a Physician's Journey from Clinic to Cockpit.
Oh, thank you.
Keywords there. But.
Yeah. So, Steph, what do you think about this? They're both saying we thought of Dr. Steph when we heard this guy as a guest on Mike Swanigan's Talking Flight podcast, who I guess this person is a doctor who decided, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to fly for the airlines, which I think is what Dr. Steph's going to do eventually.
Yes, one day when, I pay off my debt and have enough hours to get an ATP and all that.
Yeah,
just a few short at the moment. No, I think this is really cool. And actually, I was unaware of this and unaware of the Talking Flight podcast. I'd not been listening to that. So I really appreciate Private Pilot Rich and Dave for sending this in. I'm definitely going to listen to this. And you know what? I can actually... I can download it to my iPad on my Kindle app and read it for just a few dollars. So that should be really interesting. Just reading the teaser for the book here on Amazon Prime's website. It says, fascinating memoir that offers a glimpse into the extraordinary life of a young physician. Blah, blah, blah. Watch as he, saves a life by applying a theory he learned in med school and performing procedure he'd studied in a book. See one, do one, teach one. Blah, blah, blah. And then I guess this goes on for a while. He left medical training and did a brief stint practicing rural medicine in a small town in Washington. And he was also a naval flight surgeon during the Vietnam War years. And then finally decided that he was questioning his choice of a career in medicine and struggled with the decision to leave it all behind to pursue his lifelong dream, which was presumably to fly for his career instead of being a physician. So, sorry, I kind of fumbled through that because it was not as clearly written as I thought it was going to be. But you kind of get the gist. The title kind of sums it up there, and hopefully the book is written a little bit more eloquently than that teaser for it. But I'll download it and give it a read. So
excellent. And we'll put a link to the Talking Flight podcast, and you can listen to the interview with this doctor. That's kind of cool. So it's kind of cool that both Private Pilot Rich and Dave heard the show and thought, let's send this feedback to APG and Dr. Steph.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I will. I'm going to listen to that episode, as I said, and also take a look at the book.
Speaking of shows that we've done in the past, and Dr. Steph, she was holding up her.
Hold on, wait, I still have it here.
Okay, let's see.
Can I still wear this on the show?
Yeah. So if you're watching the video, you see that Dr. Steph is wearing a baseball cap with the University of Southern California.
No.
University of South Carolina.
South Carolina.
And their official mascot is Gamecocks, but they have abbreviated that.
I mean, that's a lot to fit onto the front of a baseball cap, so I can see why they went with the shortened version of the word.
I'm sure that's why.
That's all they were thinking of.
Yes. So DC John writes, I'm intentionally not putting my full name inside the body of the email, but the crew's riffing on the name of the University of South Carolina mascot during APG 267 reminded me of a story told to me by a USC alumna. During the early 80s, someone thought it would be a good idea to have the two universities with the same three-letter abbreviations play each other in football. So the University of Southern California, USC, Trojans, that's their mascot, played the University of South Carolina Gamecocks, USC Gamecocks, on October 1st, 1983, at Columbia's Williams-Brice Stadium. The Carolinians posted a banner in the upper deck that read, quote, okay, now, the mascot for the USC Gamecocks is abbreviated or shortened to Cox. So here's the banner. No Trojan can cover our mascot. I would have bet on the Californians, but turns out that day the sign was right.
That's why I was
won 38-14. It is a family show. That's why I did it that way.
Yes, that's why I was laughing. So
I know.
I knew where that was going.
Oh yes.
And he said, "What little proof I have of my friend's recollection," and then he has several URLs listed that kind of chronicle this event. And so if you're interested in learning more about that, we'll put those in the show notes as well. He says, wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and of course, tailwinds. Again, DC John, probably not his real name. And I don't blame him for wanting to be anonymous with that one. Alex in the, I think in Australia, yeah, says, Alex Stroud here. Just wondering if I could get some advice from you guys. I've just turned 20 and I want to become an airline pilot. I have since I was about 13, but I come from a poor family. Is there any method of becoming a pilot here in Australia without the large costs? Thank you and have a great flight. I'm thinking my first reaction to that was enroll in the military.
Well, that's
and,
right. Exactly.
Get your training there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get all your training for nothing.
Yeah, work hard in school. Well, you just turned 20.
You turned 20.
Yeah, never mind. So if you've done well in school or not, see if the Australian, what is it? The Australian Royal Air Force, is that what they call that, Captain?
Royal Australian Air Force.
Royal Australian Air Force.
RAAF.
Or AAF. See if they might have some spots, some openings. I don't know. I mean, perhaps some of you in Australia might have some, specific ideas about this for Alex.
Well, my niece is out there, and she's trying to do it the hard way by being a flight instructor. So she did all her flying training. She did did all the ground studies for getting a commercial license, and she's a flight instructor. And now she works for a charter outfit. She's slowly working her way up, but it's a long, hard journey building up the hours you need. And that's a difficult way. You're not that far from the Far East, where airlines like Singapore and Cathay will possibly take you on for a cadetship. You might want to consider that, and they will pay for all of your training. You'll be tied to that airline and receive quite a low wage for the first few years. That may not be a problem for you, though. But I think Jeff's suggestion, first thing to do is try the military and see if they'll see if you're qualified and see if they'll take you. That's certainly the easiest way. And when you've served enough years with them, then you can, like I did, leave and become a civil airline pilot. And there you go. Bob's your uncle. You've had the best of both worlds.
And tip from the chat room, plugging another one of those great aviation podcasts a little bit, but Brian Parrott says, check out the Aviation Careers podcast. They actually have links, I guess, to different scholarships. So maybe there would be some in your area, Alex, that would be helpful for you in trying to get some additional funding for flight training. So
I believe that most of those are U.S.
U.S. I would think that they are, but you never know. And there might be contacts there to, you know, networking is a big thing. Even around the world, it's still a small community. So.
Plane Crazy Down Under, another great podcast, is down there. Listen to that show and perhaps reach out to them because they have connections in Australia. Perhaps they can kind of steer you in the right direction. But it's possible. Don't give up. Just because you come from a family that doesn't have a lot of money, there are ways to do this. If you have a will to do it, there's a way to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for down there, but I can assure you that I came from without any money whatsoever, and grew up with barely a roof over my head. Worked 4 jobs, go through school, put myself through flying, just through general aviation, just like you're talking about, and fortunately, I made it. So, if there's a will, there is definitely a way. You just need to do a little research on it.
There's your example right there, Dana. And he's one of the finest pilots we have at Acme, which is a made-up fictional airline.
So I'm a fictional pilot,
and I'm chief pilot of this fictional airline.
Why not?
Why
Can
not?
I be the chief trapper?
Sure.
Thanks.
Hey, I think, was it the last show, Dr. Steph, that you were complaining about your behavior or talking to us? You're a little ashamed at your behavior at the rental car counter. Yeah. Well, you know what?
I had a lot. I mean, you could just play the Bad Boys theme for me in general for the last show. But yeah, I was complaining about my bad behavior that happened before the show at a rental car counter. So
yeah, well, so apparently we ended up getting some audio of this encounter. Let me
there
play
really
this.
are cameras everywhere.
Yeah, there are. It's a big brother.
This is Miami Hick. Last week, Dr. Steph said she was just a little bit rude to the person at the rent-a-car counter. And, lucky for y'all, I got a friend that works over there at Marathon. They pulled the audio of just when Dr. Steph come through and rent her car. And I think she was a little bit more rude than she let on during the show. So here's the audio from that exchange. Enjoy. Miami Hick, over and out.
Welcome to Marathon. May I help you? Yes. How may I help you?
You can start by wiping that smile off your rosy cheeks. Then you can give me an automobile. A Datsun, a Toyota, a Mustang, Copyright, 4 wheels and a seat.
I really don't care for the way you're speaking to me.
And I really don't care for the way your company left me in the middle of nowhere with keys to a car that isn't there. And I really didn't care to walk down a byway and across a runway to get back here to have you smile at my face. I want a car right now.
Yeah, I see your rental agreement.
I threw it away.
Boy.
Oh boy, what?
You're
Oh my. Steph.
That was pretty rude of me. I'm so sorry. I owe apologies to the fine folks at.
And you know what? I had to take out the F-bomb. It must have been in there probably 10 times. I had to edit all that out. I'm sorry. That's why it didn't sound very clear. Actually, of course, that was from the movie Planes, Trains,
and Automobiles
with Steve Martin.
I can't believe it because that was Steph. I mean, if I closed my eyes and that was Steph.
I altered the voice, Steve Martin's voice, a little bit to make it sound more like Dr. Steph. I think I got pretty close, actually.
I think you're damn close.
So thank you, Miami Hick, for that little bit of entertainment.
Yes,
of course,
I owe a lot of people apologies. Jeez.
Of course, that's not Dr. Steph. She would never say anything like that in public.
She'd never slur her words.
Never.
Let's see.
Or drop an F-bomb. That's not me.
No, I'd never, ever. Well, let's move on. John says, your last episode, someone asked about the process of getting a type rating. I'm a corporate pilot operating a Falcon 2000 Classic Part 91 and 135. My type rating was 21 days. We spent about half of it learning systems and on the FMS ground school, and the other half doing sim sessions. At the end of it is the check ride. It's typically 2.5 hours of oral, and I think he's talking about oral examination, and 3 to 4 hours in the sim. We also do recurrent every 6 months, which is 2 days ground, 2 days sim, and then a full check ride on the 5th day. fly safe. So thank you, John, for letting us know how your type rating went and how long it took and what it involved. Always good to hear from our corporate pilots out there.
That's quite a testing period. Every 6 months, 2 days in the ground, 2 days in the sim, and then a check ride on the 5th day. That's quite hard work.
It is. So, but makes you realize how professional and well prepared these corporate pilots are out there. So that's good to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we heard Amar with Dave Abbey talking about his time. I think he was there for like a week for his annual. I don't know if it's annual or 6 months for him. Did they mention that in the feedback? I don't recall. But anyway, it's pretty intense. Speaking of simulator time, Kevin St. John writes, I'm 2 episodes behind. That's it. But I'd like to add to the discussion about time spent in training by various occupations discussed in episode 265, which I was listening to while driving back from Easter dinner at my sister's home with the car cruising on I-495 in autopilot mode. He drives the Tesla. I suspect the group that spends the most time in training and simulators are nuclear plant operating crews. Nuclear plant operating crews. Each crew spends 1 week out of every 6 in classroom training and running scenarios in complete replicas of the actual control room. As with pilots, part of that time is spent running simulated scenarios where immediate initial steps must be recalled from memory without reference to emergency operating procedures, binders. The training is conducted by the plant training staff under a USNRC approved training program. As always, best wishes for safe flights and thanks for all the APG crew does. Respectfully, Kevin St. John. 1 week out of every 6. Wow.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
I mean,
then, there's a lot of memory items there, I suspect. That's
a lot of memory items that
stuff.
I'm thinking there's a lot of high stakes jobs out there. I mean, certainly this has to count up there as one of them, but that's still a lot of training.
Yes.
It is. And it's, I'm glad to hear it because I don't want anything to go wrong at those nuclear power plants.
No. And I live very close to one and not too far from a second one. So that makes me, it's kind of reassuring to hear.
We have the 3 Mile Island incident here in the U.S. many, many years ago near Harrisburg. And then, of course, the Chernobyl is the big one in the former Soviet Union.
Hey, Steph, turn out the lights and see if we can still see you.
Yeah.
You guys are very funny.
She does have a nice glow. I just thought it was her.
It's just her glowing. It's her glowing personality.
Actually, hold on. Watch this. You'll laugh at this.
Oh yeah, they get blue. I always thought it'd be green, but it's blue.
It's blue.
So if you're going to Wings Over Pittsburgh, just be careful. Don't get too close to Dr. Steph.
A little, just mildly radioactive. It's fine. I'm told it's mostly harmless.
It's kind of like having a nice little buzz.
Yeah, but
Jordan writes in, hello again, APG crew. I just wanted to share some of my some feedback and hopefully encourage my APGers on the fence about starting flight training. I have 2 hours in my logbook and I'm 35 years old. Like so many things in life, the worst regrets are the things you didn't do, not the things you did. Stop making excuses and get a discovery flight. Flight training isn't cheap, but if you have a passion for aviation, you'll make it work and won't have any regrets. I also wanted to personally thank Captain Jeff for creating a program and community that pushed me over the edge. Without that push, I would still be a flight sim dreamer instead of a student pilot.
Without that push, I'd still be a living.
Yes, I kind of pushed him a little too hard. Sorry. That's another bit of advice. If you see me at Wings Over Pittsburgh, don't get anywhere near any ledges or anything like that. It'd be too much of a push. Finally, I wanted to thank Captain Nick for his plane tales. I can only imagine the time and energy that goes into the production of these fantastic stories. You don't have to put as much into them as you do, and that passionate effort isn't lost on us listeners. Thanks so much for giving us such a phenomenal gift every week. And I'd say, I agree.
What a lovely thing to say. What a nice chat.
Yes,
I'm going to
we
send
like
you a
Jordan.
Christmas card.
Well, but it's accurate. That's the most important thing. It's accurate.
Yeah.
You do a fantastic job.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, you know what? Since he just mentioned Plaintails, this is a great little
segue.
Segue into this week's installment.
The old pilot's plain tales. Key must go. When I look back at accidents that have molded our modern attitude to commercial flying, one of the incidents that springs to mind is the crash of British European Airways Flight 548. A Hawker Siddeley Trident, the incident is often referred to by its location as the Staines air disaster. Following the total loss of the aircraft and all on board, it remains the United Kingdom's deadliest air accident. The disaster revealed a fatal combination of antagonistic pilots, troublesome aircraft design, union disputes, and medical issues. This was certainly a landmark accident. The date was the 18th of June 1972, and a key element of the story was Captain Stanley Key. At 51, Key was an experienced aviator with over 14,000 hours, 4,000 on type. A decorated wartime pilot, he was both extremely accomplished, experienced, and a route check captain. He was known to be authoritative and a stickler for the rules. With him that day were two young graduates of the Hamble Flying School. Sitting in the co-pilot seat was 22-year-old Second Officer Keithley, who only had a few hundred hours. Keithley's training record was far from perfect, as his Hamble report showed that he was slow to learn and underconfident. Comments such as, "He will need careful watching," and "he was slow to react and lacked initiative," peppered his assessment. Behind them in the jump seat, with duties that included monitoring the two pilots flying the aircraft, was Second Officer Ticehurst. Of the two second officers, Ticehurst was the more experienced, a 24-year-old with 1,400 hours, 750 hours on type. Travelling with the crew that day and sitting behind the captain was John Collins, a deadheading captain who now flew freighters, but who had been an experienced Trident First Officer. There was a stark difference between the older wartime generation of pilots and the younger pilots who grew up after the conflict in the post-war boom. The captains were often thought of as arrogant, dictatorial, and with a superior attitude, whereas the Hamble cadet pilots were considered green, limited in ability, and probably looked down on for growing up in the easygoing 60s and 70s. The feeling of some pilots was obvious because in the aftermath of the accident, it was found that the third pilot's table on the crashed aircraft had graffiti scribbled on it by discontented junior pilots. "Key must go." Yes, but where? Down the drain. BOAC, anywhere will do. Send Owens with him. When Stanley Key dies, who will be God's next representative in BEA? The Trident was an early jetliner and the first T-tailed rear three-engine aircraft to be built. It was operated mainly by UK Airlines, since shortly after its development, Boeing launched a very similar 727, which had greater appeal to the US market. A sophisticated aircraft for its time, the Trident was the first airliner to use an auto-land system in service. However, not all of its development went smoothly. It was discovered that aircraft with a T-tail could enter a stalled condition known as a super stall. This occurred when the airflow from the wing of a stalled aircraft blanked the tail section, preventing recovery. In a superstall, the elevators, which would normally be used to pitch the aircraft nose down and unstall the wing, were rendered useless. The danger had come to light during a flight when test pilots pitched the aircraft beyond the critical angle of attack and began fluttering downwards like a stone, with the pilots unable to lower the nose to recover. Luckily, a wing dropped, and as the pilots worked the rudder, they managed to roll the aircraft the other way. In this falling leaf maneuver, eventually the nose came down, and they were able to recover to normal flight. As a result, stall warning stick shakers and stall recovery stick pushers were fitted to prevent inadvertent stalls. However, the stick push system was considered by some pilots to overreact, and of 10 activations between the aircraft entering service and the crash, 3 were spurious. Despite there having been a 70% correct operation of this device, and none after 1966 when it was improved, many pilots remain unconvinced. The problem may have been exacerbated by a lack of understanding. Full stick shaker warnings were reasonably common, but they only needed a single sensor to register an approaching stall, whilst the stick pusher needed 2 sensors to activate at the same time. If required, the stick pusher system could be dumped by moving an override lever on the captain's side of the center console. Another relevant design feature was that the leading edge flaps, called droops on the Trident, were controlled by a lever on the center console, aft and to the right of the throttles. Immediately to the right of the droop lever was the flap lever, which moved in exactly the same sense, although the knob on top was different in design. With the droops retracted, the aircraft had a stalling speed of well over 200 knots, so it was recognized early on that there should be some system to prevent accidental early retraction. As a consequence, a bulk was fitted that prevented the droops from being retracted with the flaps at 7 degrees or greater. During a normal acceleration, this left a very short period when the droop lever was vulnerable to early retraction. However, the manufacturer hadn't anticipated the advent of noise abatement procedures, where the engines are throttled back and the acceleration slowed during the latter part of the cleanup to prevent noise. Due to the longer acceleration, this increased the danger period by some 100 seconds to nearly 2 minutes. The existing conflict between the older and younger pilots in BEA had been exacerbated by industrial dispute. A demand for better pay and conditions was generally being supported by the junior pilots and opposed by the senior ones. Indeed, some first officers were already on strike. Shortly before his flight, Captain Key had a violent shouting match with a first officer, described by one bystander as the most violent argument he had ever heard. In addition to this, because of a threatened worldwide disruption planned by the International Federation of Airline Pilots the following day as a protest against aircraft hijacking, Captain Key's aircraft was full, despite Sunday usually being a quiet day. Key was obviously upset by the altercation, and although he apologized afterwards, he was probably still agitated as he walked out to his aircraft, his blood pressure at a high level. Unbeknown to anyone, Key was already suffering from a dangerous heart complaint, which might well have been exacerbated by the upset of his outburst. It was discovered in post-mortem that he had severe arteriosclerosis, a narrowing of the arteries, and in addition, it was found that he had a tear in his left coronary artery. Bleeding from this tear had started not more than 2 hours before Key's death. Medical opinion differed, but it was quite possible that the stress of the argument caused the damage, and following it, he might well have suffered pain, discomfort, and a heart arrhythmia, leading to collapse and unconsciousness. It was just after 4 p.m. when Captain Key taxied his Trident out of its parking position at London's Heathrow Airport to runway 27 right. The wind was gusty, but the weather was mild, with slight rainfall from a 1,000-foot ceiling. The aircraft took off normally and began a southerly turn, part of the Dover 1 departure, just before entering the overcast layer. After contacting London Centre, Flight 548 was cleared to 6,000 feet, which was acknowledged by Key. This was their final transmission. Less than a minute later, the Trident re-emerged from the cloud in a nose-high attitude and fell into a field just south of the A30, a major London road. Though there was little post-crash fire, all 112 passengers and 6 crew were killed. At that time, there were no voice recorders fitted to UK commercial aircraft, but the Trident did have an accident data recorder. The aircraft left the ground at 145 knots and quickly reached the V2 speed of 152 knots. The undercarriage was retracted, and at 355 feet and 170 knots, the autopilot was engaged with the airspeed lock, even though the correct climb speed was a little faster at 177 knots. Passing around 700 feet, they began the left turn towards the Epsom NDB, and 90 seconds after takeoff, Key reduced power as part of the noise abatement procedure. Then the flaps were retracted. During the left turn, the airspeed reduced to 157 knots, some 20 knots below the target speed. 114 seconds after departure, and at a speed of only 162 knots, the droops were selected up. They were 63 knots below the safe retraction speed. 1 second later, the visual and audible stall warnings activated, followed almost immediately by the stick shaker and then the stick pusher, heaving the control yoke fully forwards and disconnecting the autopilot. The cacophony of noise with the stall warning and autopilot horn blaring must have been obvious, but Key held the nose up. A second round of stick shaker warnings and stick pusher activation followed, but still no recovery action was taken. Finally, for a third time, the aircraft systems tried to save the crew, but the only response from Key was to deactivate the very system that was trying to unstall the aircraft. As a result of the stick pusher activation, the aircraft had descended a few hundred feet and accelerated to 193 knots, but it was still below the droop-up stall speed. However, Key raised the nose once more to reduce the speed to the normal climb speed of 177 knots. By now, the nose was over 30 degrees up, and the Trident had entered a deep stall. It was too late. Recovery was impossible. With the aircraft descending at over 4,500 feet a minute, it only took 20 seconds for the troubled flight to end in the most tragic of circumstances. Air traffic controllers noticed the disappearance of the aircraft from their displays, but the emergency services weren't made aware for 15 minutes. It was a motorist who, seeing the crash, stopped at a house to ring the airport. The first on the scene was a nurse who lived nearby, and she made heroic efforts amidst the wreckage to help any of the victims who were still alive. The inquiry commented that her actions could not be praised too highly. However, they said the decelerative forces of the impact were too great for the human frame to survive. One male passenger did survive the impact, but died shortly afterwards in hospital. A young girl also survived, but she died at the crash site. As news of the crash was broadcast, the nearby main road became choked with sightseers, and there were distressing stories of trophy hunters raking through the impact area before the authorities could gain control. The area had been soaked with aviation fuel, and fire that had been absent in the crash itself was soon started when cutting equipment was brought to bear on the fuselage. Finally, there were over 30 ambulances and fire appliances in attendance, but by then there was little that could be done. The following day, the Right Honourable Michael Heseltine, the Minister for Aerospace, announced that there would be an ad hoc tribunal, popularly called public inquiry, to investigate and report on the accident. This was completely contrary to the usual convening of an accident investigation board, and two of the pilots' unions protested at the conduct of the inquiry, which was likened to a lawyer's picnic, where the parties involved tried desperately to avoid blame or attempted to secure positions for future litigation. Indeed, the conduct of the inquiry was blamed for the death of a senior AIB inspector who committed suicide. The inquiry tried to establish who moved the droop lever, setting into motion the entire tragedy. Neither Captain Key nor Keithley, his co-pilot, had cause to retract the droops, and had they done so, then Ticehurst, whose job it was to monitor such actions, would surely have spotted the error. Might Keithley have misinterpreted an order from his captain to change the autopilot height to 6,000 feet as an instruction to put up the droops? Did Key, distracted by his medical condition, raise the droops by accident, thinking perhaps his inexperienced co-pilot had mishandled the flaps? What was obvious was that the droop lever was moved either by Key in the pain and distress of his heart condition or by his inexperienced second officer. The final report, issued nearly a year later, listed the main causes as a failure to maintain the correct airspeed, a premature retraction of the leading edge devices, a failure to monitor the aircraft configuration, a failure to recognize the reason for the stall warnings, and an error in disabling those systems. The underlying causes were that Captain Key was suffering from a heart condition, that having Captain Collins on the flight deck may have been a distraction to Ticehurst, the monitoring second officer, the low experience level of Second Officer Keithley, and a lack of a bulk mechanism to prevent droop retraction at too low an airspeed. Apart from the obvious modifications that the Trident needed to prevent movement of the droop lever below the safe speed, this tragedy also set in motion the requirement for cockpit voice recorders to be fitted to UK-registered airliners. Also, the handling of subtle pilot incapacitation became a training requirement. What the inquiry seemed unable to do was to fully analyze the impact that the lack of crew resource management had on the performance of those on the flight deck, since the concept had yet to be studied nor implemented by the industry. In subsequent years, however, this accident would be studied and analyzed by generations of airline pilots, who all strive to learn the lesson.
Another fabulous installment of Plain Tales, and wow, what a story.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. Yeah, that one's sort of etched in our memory in the UK, it being the most serious accident. There was one crash that had a larger life loss, but that was the terrorist induced accident of the Pan Am 747 over Lockerbie. But when it comes to aircraft accidents, this was our worst, and it's to one extent quite pleasing that it's way back in 1972, but there were so many things to be learned from that, and I think the lack of the animosity between the pilots, the lack of give and take, and the old and the new attitudes towards them. There were just so many things there on the flight deck that made it hard for people to communicate properly, which I hope we have all now put behind us.
Absolutely.
Yep, 100%.
And just, from the medical standpoint, that's an interesting incident or accident, because, the way that the report about the captain was interpreted with his cardiac issues and his atherosclerosis was that it was likely that he had a heart attack, and they felt that it was relatively recent, at least according to what I remember and what I've read about it. So sometime within the 2 hours leading up to the incident, he had actually suffered some additional injury or damage to his heart. So you have to really wonder what additional stress he was under, in addition to the stress and strain between the crew members already.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think at the time there was an appallingly toxic attitude between many of the pilots, and it can't have been a very pleasant thing coming to work,
No.
which would have just made the situation on the flight deck even harder to cope with. Yes, you're quite right, Steph. He had narrowing the arteries, and then he had a tear, which happened in his coronary artery, which would have occurred within 2 hours, and because of the blood that had coagulated in his chest all around his heart, they worked out that it was probably during his flight preparation, sometime between that and his death, that had happened. So so he was not in good shape. But it just goes to show that either the second officer, his co-pilot, was so terrified of him that he didn't stop him from doing the wrong thing.
Making that mistake, right?
Yep. Or he himself was incapable of realizing that the second officer had just done something, completely
Wrong.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, there's some of that still even today in a lot of the international carriers, especially over in the Far East. I think there's a lot to be moved on with that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of work still to be done in some countries because of the sort of autocratic and natural autocracy that can exist between senior men and junior men. Doesn't matter what job they're in. But in a cockpit, that can be a very dangerous thing.
Absolutely. It's a terrible thing.
Now, with your background of accident investigation, Jeff, you got any thoughts on that one?
Well, CRM was a big part of it, as we just talked about there, and we've come a long way with that in recent years. It was interesting to see that this was one of the events that precipitated the installment of the cockpit voice recorders. And that sort of thing makes it much easier to investigate tragedies like this. The thing that got my attention, though, is the fact that I've flown for most of my career high tail or T-tail airplanes with engines in the back, although the 141 had wing mounted engines, but it was also a T-tail. So most of the time that I have in my logbook are T-tail airplanes. And when you talk about the what did you call it, super stall for the Trident, we call it a deep stall.
Yeah, it goes under both names. Yes.
Yeah, that's just like the last thing you want to happen, because once you've hit that point, you're just along for the ride. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't surprise me that the latest generation of airliners, there's no T-tails amongst them, really.
That is a good point. Although the regionals are still quite a few out there with the T-tails, but I think that as time goes on, we're going to see less and less of that type of design, I would imagine.
Yeah, because what's the point of having a design like that? I don't see the point of it when you end up in a situation where you could have an unrecoverable stall. It just just terrifies me.
Yeah.
Interesting fact on the T-tails that, believe it or not, that is the only airline I've ever flown.
T-tails? Yeah.
T-tail airline. I've never flown a conventional airliner with a conventional tail.
The only one I've flown is the L1011, and that was not quite completely conventional. That was the stabilator. It wasn't a stabilizer elevator combo. It was a moving. The whole surface moved as one. I think they called it a stabilator. But yeah, interesting.
Okay, great.
Well, thank you again, Captain Nick, for that. All your hard work with the plane tails. And I know that I can speak for everyone that we really appreciate the work that you put into them. And I'm sure this guy does too.
Greetings, fellow Av Geeks. This is Hillel. Thought you'd like to know that our little Cherokee was selected by the Stephen F. Udvar-Hazy Center for being displayed at Innovations in Flight Day, Saturday, June 17th, the day before Father's Day. This is a great Father's Day gift for any Av Geek, and I'm looking forward to flying in again. It's a whole lot of fun to meet everyone at one of our original impromptu Av Geek meetups. Hope to see you then. Bring the family. Great for kids.
Thank you, Hillel. And not only is he flying his Cherokee into the Udvar Hazy Smithsonian Air and Space Museum at Dulles, but he's also flying it to Pittsburgh International for Wings Over Pittsburgh. So,
oh wow,
nice,
very cool. Look forward to seeing you, Hillel. And who knows, maybe we'll make another trip to Udvar Hazy this year. Not sure. We really haven't talked about it yet, but you never know. Let's see. Let's see. Where are we going to go next here? We're getting close to the end. I want to make sure we get everything that's really important to. Well, they're all important, but perhaps this one. I think that Knack Jack kind of reached out to us to make contact with the gentleman who was talking about starting a flight simming podcast. So let's play Knack Jack's feedback.
Hey, Airline Pilot Guide crew, it's Knack Jack. Sorry I haven't checked in a while. Been busy. I temporarily got over APG syndrome. And I was feeling good, and I had all the meds I needed, and life was going swell, and then I relapsed, so I'm back again. Unfortunately, maybe Dr. Steph can help, but I hear it's incurable. But apparently it's relapsing and remitting, so we know that much. Go tell the guys in the lab. At any rate, I'm here in my 777 over San Juan, Puerto Rico at the moment, in between Rio de Janeiro and New York City. I've been in the air quite a long time, 5 hours and something. I'm so tired, my eyes can't read the gauge right, so that tells you something. Anyway, I wanted to reach out to that fellow a couple episodes back that said he was starting a flight sim podcast or was thinking about it. The retired Air New Zealand captain, I believe it was. Wanted to reach out to him and tell him to get in touch. I'll leave my contact details with Jeff, see if he wants to work with me. I've been tooling around with another show, FS Ride Along, and it's even got its own lips and information. I'll pass that on to Jeff so he can plug it if he feels like it. But of course, I wanted to thank the APG crew for all the great work they do. Tease Nick, who I am beating around the globe. I've been, I know he doesn't fly for Virgin Atlantic, but I beat a Virgin Atlantic A340 across the Atlantic the other day from, what was that, London to JFK, and I was very impressed with myself. I, of course, was in a 747, and they were in the A340, so 747 is better. Anyway, keep up the great show, and like I said, I'll leave my contact details with Jeff. And in the meantime, it looks like the first officer is possibly done checking the insides of his eyelids, so I better get back to the flight deck here. Take care.
Thank you, Nicholas, for your feedback. And if the gentleman who was talking, the ex-New Zealand Air New Zealand captain, if you're listening, contact Knack Jack or contact us, and I'll give you Nicholas's contact information, and you can see what he has in mind. Maybe the two of you can get together and do a new flight simming podcast. But anyway, so always good to hear from you, Knack Jack.
No, it's not.
That's great. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yes, it
He
is.
was very rude.
To you,
He just wanted to, let us know of his accomplishments with his flight simming.
Flight sim 747 where he doesn't have to pay for the petrol faster than we can fly an Airbus. Yeah.
Well, presumably the flight sim Airbus also doesn't have to pay for the fuel.
Yeah, well, and he probably doesn't mind if he bangs it off the barber's pole all the time.
What's interesting, and now I know this doesn't apply to you, Captain Nick, because you're paid on a salary basis or salaried basis, but yep. For Dana and I, and Dana, you might be able to relate to this. I've always been perplexed when we're in an airplane and they slow us down, or they vector us or make us hold or whatever, and then there's a lot of grumbling in the cockpit and everything else, and I'm going, wait a minute, hello, don't we get paid by the minute? Isn't it a good thing if we take longer to get there and maybe fly more slowly?
Yeah, except
don't
for
we
when
get paid more?
Yeah, we do. However, except when the trips have a lot of credit in them.
Well, that's true. Yeah, we don't want to get into all the intricacies of the system, the way we get paid and everything else. But that is a good point. If you're flying a trip that has a lot of what Dana just mentioned as credit, where you're guaranteed to be paid a certain amount. So let's say you have 3 or 4 flights that are very short flights that may not make up a great deal of time. You still want to be. We have a contract set up so that we get paid a minimum of a certain. For us, it's 5 hours and 15 minutes per day or duty period that they use us. So. Let's say you fly only 2 flights and a total of an hour and a half. Well, then we're going to get some credit to make up for that. It's a kind of a complicated formula. It also depends on what you're going to do in the subsequent days and all that. But that's true. But anywho, speed, yeah, it's an important thing, but not such a big deal for me. Let's see. This is from the Flying Kiwi. He sent us some audio feedback.
Hey, APG crew. This is the Flying Kiwi. I want to pass on some thanks for your podcast this week. First of all, I thank you for having this podcast out there, because it's really helped me in the last week or two. I had a friend of mine die rather suddenly last week and had to do horrible things like read the eulogy and all that sort of business, and also carry on with stuff at work. And so it's been a really great thing to have this podcast to keep me occupied and listen to you guys and listen to your fart jokes and all that sort of business, and to keep me amused and entertained, because it's not just the entertainment, it's also the knowledge that you guys pass on. So I thank you very much. And the second bit of thanks I want to pass on to Nick and Nick's dad. Plain Tales has always been a great favourite segment of mine, and lately it's reached absolutely new levels. It's fantastic to hear what Andy Anderson has to say about his time in the Sunderlands and the futility of looking down and seeing all of this carnage going on, and there's very little you can do about it. It's so important to get the voices of veterans down, because without these people, you're stuck with a horrible, repro History Channel, reenactment of what actually went on. And they're usually rubbish because they're made by editors who don't know the difference between a Spitfire and an ME-109. And, they just, give you stock footage and give you a crappy answer about what happened. So it's really important to go out and talk to these veterans, whether they want to talk about it or not. But, to get this sort of stuff down before it's too late and we lose these voices. So it's so important, and it's really great to hear Andy Anderson and his experiences. And he does it so eloquently as well, which is great. So thank you, Nick, and thanks to your dad. Last but not least, there was a guy who emailed in, I think, about type ratings. And you guys did a great job of answering his questions about what type ratings involved. And I have many type ratings because I live in New Zealand, and it's stupid because all planes are completely different and you have to go to school and learn them all over again. Don't get me started. But I could sum up my type rating experience in a single sentence. It is the ability for me to demonstrate yet again to my CFI that I can't bloody fly this plane either. So true. It's like an exam all over again. Anyway, Talons Douglas, and thanks a lot, APG. You've really helped out. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Well, we're glad to help you out, Flying Kiwi, Lucas, and we really appreciate the support that you give us, not only with being part of the community, sending us great feedback like that one, but also being in the top level of support in the patronage. It just we couldn't do it without you and everybody else in the community.
Yeah, and some very kind comments, and I've received lots, and I'm being very good about passing them on to my father, so he's been getting regular emails. And thank you very much indeed for your kind words. He's a treasure to me, and he's a treasure to Australia. And I think we'll all miss him when he goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, Ray Williams, my neighbor to the north in Alpharetta, he also sent a very nice letter to Captain Nick, specifically about the Andy Anderson interviews and how that really stirred a lot of emotion in him as well, and how much he appreciated it. And he kind of related some of the stories from his father and his experience in various airplanes. So awesome. Just love all of this. It's great. Thank you, Lucas. Glad we could be there for you. And that's what, we're here for everybody, and we know that you're here for us as well.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Let's see. Well, these are all kind of related to things that we talked about recently, like, let's say,
I was going to say, did you want to talk about, just real quick, I was going to jump in with one. Couple down from where you are, it was about General Aviation Airport to fly into for wings over Pittsburgh, since it's a little time sensitive.
Why don't you take that one?
Sure.
Steph?
So Michael writes in and says, General Aviation Airport to fly into at wings over Pittsburgh, and serious feedback. Crew, longtime listener and huge fan. Truly love the different perspectives of the hosts and how approachable the crew is to the listeners. I'm a private pilot, 29, live in New York City, and fly out of Morristown, New Jersey, which is Kilo Mike uniform. Recently joined Patreon as a producer, thank you, and would love to get more involved in the community, including the Nick meetups in New York. I am curious if anyone is flying their small metal to the air show and where they are flying to. I may be able to fly myself out for the weekend in a rental. Separately, I just wanted to give Dr. Steph some feedback on her Cirrus flying, as I learned in the Cirrus SR20 for 100 plus hours and had a blast flying it. I'm sure you've had great training, but my advice is to always be prepared to go around. He says, don't play the song. Oh, come on, Mike. As the airplane is not forgiving on landings, and if you bounce, you're more likely to bounce again and prop strike instead of settle down like a high wing 172. I had one nasty crosswind situation where I bounced and was a little late to firewall the throttles, but managed to save the situation. That's good. Have you experienced some of the complexities in landing the Cirrus? He says, i.e. barely a flare, etc. While I love the plane and advanced avionics, I have transitioned to G1000 172 as it is cheaper, fits my local flying, and I can still get the avionics fix. Lastly, if I can make it to wings over Pittsburgh, I'll bring a few of these IPAs. It says look them up on Beer Advocate if you don't know them. Treehouse Julius, Heady Topper, and Lawson's Sip of Sunshine. Best regards to everyone, Michael. So I just wanted to jump to that one real quick because he had questions about where to fly into potentially for wings over Pittsburgh, if anyone has any answers for him.
Well, I know
Jeff?
Hill's supposed to be coordinating some of that, and I know Stephen Ivy is going to be flying in, so I'm sure there's going to be a group of them.
Yeah. Jeff, are you still there?
Sorry. That idea that I had about moving notes from one notebook to another. That was not a good idea.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
So what happens is that this thing goes, oh, okay, you want me to move all these things from one folder to another, and now I'm going to sync your Evernote with the internet, and then what happens is that Steph stops talking.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm thinking,
well, you stopped in our Skype. Did I stop for everyone else?
No, I'm sure that you
were still coming through to me.
Yeah, I think so. Now what that means is I'm going to have to get that piece of the show, that audio, to fill in the audio that I didn't get on either of my recorders because of my foolish attempt to organize things. See, that's why I don't organize. It just screws everything up.
Makes more of a mess, really.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. What was the question?
Yeah, the question was he was wondering where to, if he was going to fly a small general aviation aircraft to the air show in Pittsburgh, where a suitable airport might be. And I know, I think they already wanted to know in advance if you were going to actually fly into Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think that door, the
opportunity
has closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just doing a quick look around, and certainly within gosh, 17 to 20 miles or so of the airport. There's several other small general aviation or smaller airports. There's Allegheny County, which is about 17, 18 miles away. There is Beaver County, the other direction to the north. Allegheny was to the southeast. A little bit further out, there's a few more. Oh, wow. Bad thunderstorm heading for, that's Wheeling, Ohio. That's kind of far away. But there's at least those two options that look reasonably close. I don't know anything about them, so I'm not the expert there, but they might be good places to start. Pull out the maps, pull out the sectional, see what's in the area, and you can certainly call around to FBOs and find out what kind of options you might have if you want to fly yourself there. So
yeah, and contact us via Twitter or whatever. If you need somebody to drive to wherever you are to pick you up, then we'd be happy to do that. So
absolutely.
I'm sure we're going to have some plenty of vehicles there, I think, to be able to do that. So but that's about all the advice we can give you. I'm not too familiar with the GA airports in the area.
I don't know Pittsburgh very well at all, unfortunately. And then he just had a little bit of information to add about Cirrus flying, and he was wondering if I noticed any of the quirks of the aircraft and landing in particular. It does have kind of a shallow flare to the aircraft, but in my experience, most low-wing small general aviation aircraft are kind of that way. The Cessnas and the high wings, certainly you have a higher, you'll flare a lot more aggressively with those aircraft. But specifically with the SR-22, I haven't really noticed that it's not terribly forgiving on landings. Certainly you always want to be prepared to go around if you need to. So that's good. He said, "Don't play the song."
Yeah, I didn't play it during his feedback.
Okay. Yes. Well, I mean, you're right. You always want to be prepared to go around, no matter what aircraft you're flying, if it's appropriate. But I haven't noticed its tendency to bounce. In fact, it's actually been a very, in my experience, smooth aircraft to land. It's very responsive on the controls, and as long as you have your power settings correct, it's great. So it's a lot easier to land than the Seneca, I'll say.
Okay. And what's your experience with the Seneca?
Trickier to land. Much trickier. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Nick, go ahead.
Sorry, what's the four-letter code for Pittsburgh?
KPIT.
Papa India Tango.
K-Pit. Okay.
K-Pit.
I can do that. Thanks.
Let's see. So, did you read the part about because you were out, but did you read the part about the beers?
I did. And actually, Heady Topper is fantastic. I've had that. And we have a supply source here in the Carolinas because that's a hard, difficult beer to get a hold of, but it's a great IPA. The other two I'm not as familiar with, but they sound
Michael,
great.
it's very, very important that you make it to some general aviation airport and call us. We'll pick you up because we're looking forward to drinking some of those IPAs.
Yep.
That's right.
And of course, meeting you. That's
no, just the IPAs.
Okay.
Nick speaks for himself. And,
All
we
about
look forward to
drinking.
meeting.
Yeah.
Only joking, really, honestly.
Oh, he's just joking.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bring those IPAs.
Let's see. Oh, our good friend Captain Jeff, not me, the other one, sent us some audio feedback. And are we finished with Michael?
Yeah, I think I got to everything he asked about.
Great.
Unless anyone has anything else to add.
Nope. Let's move on. We're getting awfully close to that 3-hour point. So let's.
You want to go to 4 hours?
Yeah, we could do that. Who knows? We can just keep on going here. Let's go. Captain Jeff sent us in some feedback.
Hello, APG community. It's the other Captain Jeff with some long overdue feedback. This goes all the way back to episode 263 when Jeff and Steph and Nick were talking about balloons in South America. And they made it sound like they were talking about the typical balloons that carry passengers with a gondola underneath.
Oh, wait a minute. Is he criticizing us or correcting us?
Yep.
Okay, let's move on then to something else.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just kidding. Here we go. Take it away, Jeff.
Having experienced this firsthand in Rio, that's not the kind of balloons they are. They're much smaller, about the size of anything from party balloon size to small weather balloon size. Some of them do have gondolas, but they don't carry people or animals. They're carrying fireworks, and they rise right up under from the housing areas underneath the final approach course into the airports. And at a certain altitude or a certain time, the fireworks go off for parties and such. It makes for quite the light show, because typically we're landing there either just about dawn or just late morning. And they do get your attention. It's Brazil, so there's no regulations for anything that are enforced. And so it's not the big balloons that we think about for like the Albuquerque Balloon Festival or things like that. So that's my feedback on that issue. Hope you're all doing well, and more to follow. Over and out, and IPAs for all.
We need to get one of those balloons with fireworks for Wings Over Pittsburgh.
Yeah, why not?
That'd be fun.
Expressly prohibited.
Well, maybe on the base, but we're going to be at the hotel across the street.
Valid point.
Yeah,
I like how you
can
think.
I bring my drone?
Yeah, of course.
That'd be a good idea.
Yes, great idea, especially during the air show.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not hearing any of that.
pictures of the Thunderbirds.
Yeah, maybe not. He said more to come. Well, here it is.
Hello again, APG community. It's the other Captain Jeff. This time I'm going to be talking about the 737 Shimmy Shimmy Shake, back from episode 266. Yeah, the 737 originally did not have shimmy dampers. The 2 through 500 series jets have all been retrofitted. The 700s and the 900s and the 800s all came out with them already installed, and they're actually beefier than they are for the smaller jets. The issue came up where the torsion bars would actually break on the struts because of the way the airplane would land. The shimmy still does occur on occasion, but it's usually due to either one of two things. Either they are not maintained properly, the dampers themselves, or it can happen if you have a really smooth landing. So I guess I've never had a really smooth landing because I've never experienced this, which isn't saying a whole lot for me personally, but that's beside the point. The dampers located in the front of each main landing gear, and it's just a big cylinder. There's a picture attached. There's a gap there sometimes between what looks like a rubber mount and a cylindrical piston. We've been told that if that gap is larger than a half of an inch, which is roughly the width of a tube of chapstick, so most of us carry a tube of chapstick, that we need to have maintenance come look at it because it's too big a gap. And it is quite normal to find one at about a half inch and one completely closed. The picture I took yesterday doing the walk around, they were actually both open, one about a half inch and one about a quarter of an inch. So it's really not a big deal for us if they're maintained properly. The big problem comes in, and I can see where this might be a factor with airlines not familiar with the 7.3 or new to the fleet, or without really good maintenance, that they could have issues with not maintaining the system properly, because it can cause a lot of damage, as evidenced by some of the reports out there and some of the pictures you've seen on the internet. Where the gear are like basically sideways, a la JetBlue and LAX a couple of years ago with their nose gear. So that's the story on the shimmy shake for the 737. It does happen on other aircraft, but the big culprits seems to have been the 7.3 here for the most part, especially with the way we kind of taxi sideways. If you're ever behind a 737, it looks like we're kind of cattywampus going down the taxiway at times, where the airplane almost looks like it's crabbing on the taxiway when we're actually, and we don't even see it in the cockpit. We have no idea. But if you're behind one of us, you can obviously see it. So that's the end of that. So take care. God bless. And unlimited stouts to all.
So
Yay.
this explains why you can never get a smooth landing on a Boeing.
No, I don't think so.
I beg to differ.
You get a
But I'm
smooth
funny.
landing, you can shimmy the undercarriage into destruction, so that everyone bangs.
On the 7.3, maybe. I've never flown the 7.3. The 7.2 did not have this problem. And as far as I know, none of the other Boeings do as well. I think it's kind of related to the 7.3. Don't know why.
7.3 has castering main landing gear.
Yeah.
You can land on a crab with it.
I think I remember the old ones like the 200s.
It does.
The 200s, like when you were taxiing behind them, it was as you mentioned, it kind of looked like a pup. Like a puppy sometimes runs, and like the front legs are on one side and the back legs are in another.
Back legs move a little bit faster than the front legs, so it starts catching up on the side.
Like you're behind them and you go, "Hey, Joe, yeah, what is it? Just me, or is that airplane like going sideways a little bit there?" No, that's a 7.3. But I haven't noticed it on the newer generation, especially the 800 and 900s. I haven't noticed it. I think they figured out whatever it was that was causing that sideways. I don't know. Maybe I'm just so used to seeing it now, I don't even notice it. But it's kind of like the same kind of thing where when I saw the Mad Dog for the first time with the elevators like opposite, I'm thinking, that's wrong, isn't it? There's something wrong with that airplane, right? People would say, yeah, there is something wrong with that, but that's normal.
It's normally wrong.
Yes, normal situation. Let's see, just quickly here. Perhaps let's hear from our good friend. And speaking of this, there's a kind of a connection here. Jeff Felmuth, former F-15 driver in the U.S. Air Force, was invited to be on a fantastic aviation interview show called Ready for Takeoff, hosted by George Nolly, who is also, by the way, a producer of the show, executive producer, I believe. And George sent us a little bit of audio feedback.
Hi, APG crew. This is George Nolly from the Ready for Takeoff podcast. Just wanted to say, regarding the United incident, I totally agree with Anders, who called in on the last podcast. There were a lot of mistakes made, and a lot of cooler heads could have solved that problem fairly easily. If you want to look at the Ready for Takeoff podcast.com blog site, I have an article about my thoughts on that. The other thing I want to talk about is Toga, the go-around, and since Captain Rick is not there, Miami Rick, he would have explained something that wasn't mentioned. So I'm going to pretend that I'm Miami Rick on the 777, the 787, and the 747-8, and I'm not sure about the 747-400. With the first press of the Toga switch, which is located on the front of either thrust lever, you get thrust that will give you a 2,000 foot per minute rate of climb. And then with the next push of the Toga switch, you will get maximum thrust. Other than that, I agree with everything everybody said. Have a great day.
Thank you, George. We'll put a link to your show and your blog post regarding this United incident in the show notes. And sorry, I couldn't resist playing the crickets because when you mentioned Miami Rick, that just brought back fond memories. And I don't think I've ever heard Miami Rick.
I've never heard that
the Toga button thing.
No, that sounds totally unfamiliar to me.
How many times?
I think there was probably 40 podcasts in a row where he mentioned that exact same thing. So
we're going not the go around thing again.
Basic advice for Boeing guys: just keep mashing that switch.
Eventually, something will happen. Or how about taking a fistful of throttles and pushing them? Yes, I said throttles. Throttles forward, not thrust levers.
Thrust levers,
whatever.
Well,
sticks,
as
whatever you call
Captain
those
say,
things.
there's no butterfly valves which throttle your engine, so thrust levers is quite correct.
Blah 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 blah. That's all I hear.
Did he say something?
Anyway, you know what? I think it's about time that we end this thing. We got to most of it. Looks like next time we'll give some advice to Mayrod. Mark sent us some feedback from Sydney. Wayne has an interesting question about vortices and wind and the effect on wingtip or wake vortices.
Why can't Sydney send his own feedback?
I don't know. That's a good question. We'll have to ask him. It was very, very nice feedback. But again, that'll be on the in the feedback folder for the next show. So tune in for that and more great feedback from the community, as well as the latest news that occurs between now and the next time we do the show, which will be sometime next week, I'm hoping. And let's see, if you want to learn more about the show, as we always like to say, head over to the airlinepilotguide.com website. There you'll find information about the crew, the community, the ways to listen and watch the show. You can buy some merchandise at the APG store. Other good stuff there as well. We thank Arash for managing that fantastic site. We do appreciate that. Apps, we have the Airline Pilot Guy app on both the iOS and Android platform. Of course, the iOS App Store and the Google Play Store is where you'll find it for your Android device. And it's free, and there you can get push notifications when we're about to record a show, when the show is released, etc. Let's see, social media with Dr. Steph.
Social media, you can find us on Twitter. We're all there together at APG Crew. Pinned to the top, you can find our individual contact information for the Twitters. Facebook.com/Airline Pilot Guy. You can go there for information related to the show, stuff that community members post, stuff that we, mostly Nick, posts, and sometimes information about meetups and other things there as well. And I would give the information about Slack,
but you don't
maybe
need to.
I still will, unless you have it saved. Okay.
I think somebody's going to help us out with that. Take it away.
Excellent.
Hello.
APG listeners, if you want to be part of our Slack team, please send an email address on Twitter to me, Hillel, HI11E1. Over on Slack, we plan events, we plan meetups, we talk about the episodes, we gather feedback. If you want to be part of the team, send me a tweet. See you there.
Great. Thank you, Hillel, for recording that for us. And any other social media or any other ways to follow us? I think you covered it all.
Probably. I think I got most of it.
Feedback.
It's a good start.
Yeah, feedback. You can use the website. There's a contact form there. You can use your mobile app, which a lot of you do, and send it that way. And good old-fashioned email feedback at airlinepilotguy.com. Another great way. Also, SpeakPipe is a great way to record audio. I know we've played a few audio feedbacks here today that were from and recorded on SpeakPipe. All that information is there on the website. You can find out about that. Also, don't forget, we have show notes for everything that we talked about on today's show, links to news articles, etc. So check it out. And until next time, wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care. God bless.
Take care, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Have a great week.
And that's the end of the audio show. Let's do this for our great coffee fun cadre. I'm just going to read through a list of folks who are in the top 3 categories. It shouldn't take too long, although I know it's late, Captain Nick, if you want to leave.
Not at all. These blokes are so good, and ladies are so good. I'm going to stay and applaud the whole list.
Okay. Awesome. Here we go.
Things in life I know. Music and coffee beans.
Well, I don't know why that didn't play the way I wanted it to. It has some kind of a weird
coffee bean.
There we go. This will work better.
2 things in life I know. Music and coffee beans. I'm a coffee man. I know all about the coffee beans.
And
I'm a
he's a coffee man. He knows all about coffee beans. What I know about is people who would like to sponsor us financially and via Patreon. You can become a patron in the top 3 categories. Let's start with our executive producers at the $5 per episode and up level. Let's see. This guy's really getting loud, isn't he? Let me turn him down a little bit. There we go. Chris Elrod, one of our new executive producers. Dispatcher Mike, Justin Williams, Eric Graves, John Feldman, Robert Fairburn, Dr. Bo Abrahamson, Christopher Klimek, Justin Breeze, Trevor Moody, Joe Driver, David Collier, Bill Bates, Ross Gridley, Steve Noss, George Nolly, Ken Hayes, Randall Shepard, David Mulanu, Richard Miller, Larry Gregory, the geezer, Zebulon Dawson, Jonathan Turfthor, Mike Clark, Liz Piper, Chris Antonia, Andrew Espig, Stephen Wisniewski, Adrian Meacham, Kenneth Ludwig, and Jim G. Again, a big round of applause for our executive producers at the $5 per episode and up. Now,
Yay!
let's see. Captain Nick, or Dana, you want to read the associate senior executive producer list?
I don't have it up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Somebody has it up?
Captain Nick.
Anybody? No?
But the associate producer?
Yeah, the associate senior executive producers.
Got it. Associate senior executive producers at the $10 and up level. We have Eduardo Soares, Stephen Ward, Neville Bounds, and Michael Benson.
Woohoo! $10 an episode and up. Can you believe that? All right, ready to go. And then, of course, the top, the exclusive.
I can do the top.
Okay, let's do that. Senior executive producers.
Yeah, they're the best guys ever. We love them. Space Armin and Lucas Diamond. Thanks, guys.
Yes, that's $20 per episode. And more. Thank you. I mean, wow. That is awesome. So,
big commitment. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if you want to become a patron of the show and join this illustrious group of folks, or just $1, at least $1 per episode or more, you can become part of the Coffee Fund cadre and receive the APG crew log. And that's a little extra perk for you all. And that's about it. So you can, as they say on another podcast, you can use those credentials on your CV and your resumes for producers of this show. So
absolutely,
we'll vouch for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
we've got the official list.
That's right. All right.
We'll even give you a university degree or a doctor's degree if you want. I can knock one off my computer, no problem at all.
And he's also a minister that he can probably marry you as well.
Well, I can give you an air transport pilot's license as well.
Yeah. Hey, you know,
I can diagnose you with APG syndrome.
No need to spend over $100,000 or 100,000 pounds or whatever. We'll do all the paperwork for you. You got the ATP. Just give us 20,000. Yeah.
I'll give you my account number.
So thank you again for that, and thanks for everybody for hanging out with us today, live in the chat room. It's great. Always good to see you. You guys keep us going, and wish
good conversation there today too.
Yeah,
excellent.
And great meetups. I'm glad that we had so many meetups between last show and this show, and so what if it took a lot of time to do it? It was fun, and I think it's an important part of the show. So,
it's so nice to meet real listeners face to face. I love doing it. It's great. We always get to chat about all aspects of aviation, and they're fascinating people. I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. What was this I saw there about? I think it's okay for us to talk about it. I know we're not really doing the show anymore, even though it's still on YouTube. What's going on with the Udvar-Hazy thing? They decided to do something different this year?
It's like they're doing renovations at the center, and the parking is exceptionally limited. And I guess because of the combination of those two things, they didn't invite any outside folks to set up.
So does that mean that the Airplane Geeks aren't going to be the official podcasters of the event this year?
I guess at least for this year, that's what it means.
That sucks.
Wow,
I know.
Huh. Well, forget what I said about going to the Udvar-Hazy Center. Well, I guess there are probably still going to be some folks from the community there.
Well, Hillel's going because his plane's going to be.
Yeah, that's right. We know for sure Hillel's going to be there.
Yeah,
I'm sure somebody will.
Yeah, it says
will make it.
Perhaps all the Avgeeks can sit in his airplane and do a podcast from there.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, Micah said the museum is undergoing several construction projects, including the parking lot that will limit available space for parking and bringing materials in and out of the building. So they were unable to accept any external groups for hosting presenting activities.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully
I haven't even been there yet. I mean,
it's a lot of fun. It's it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great
museum. It's really amazing.
It is.
Yeah, it's just that our layover is so short, and we're such a long way away that it's just almost impossible to get back.
Right. Yeah, because if you laid over somewhere near the airport, then it would be convenient. But
but
not in DC.
No, we're up near the zoo.
Yeah,
where all the
That's
animals
fitting.
belong.
That's fitting. That's the perfect place.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I've been meaning to ask you something. There's a book that I just happened to stumble upon on Amazon that was written by a flight attendant for Acme Red. You know anything about that? If I got this book, would you be in it?
No,
probably.
Is it a flight attendant telling stories?
He said that very quickly. No.
Yeah, no,
no.
Don't get it. It'd be a waste of your money.
Okay. So we won't even talk about it anymore.
Nope.
Then.
I think actually she was a little before my time.
Yeah, I think it's been out for a while. So
yeah, but Captain Nick's been flying for a while.
Not that long.
Oh.
He has, but not that long for
not
for
that
Acme.
long.
Acme Red. How many years have you been with Acme Red?
23, I guess now.
23.
Wow.
But now there's this
Okay.
lovely bloke I produced, had a chat to in London yesterday. He's been with Quintas for 27 years, and he's a first officer on 380s. 27 years.
Wow. I've been with Acme for 28 and a half.
Oh, but you're a captain.
Oh, but he's a first officer.
Yeah, he had a spell as a captain on, I think, 767s.
Yikes.
But when that fleet disappeared, he had to pick something. So we went to the 380, and they would only give him a first officer slot.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that bites.
Yep.
That would, yeah. With our system, that wouldn't have worked that way. But I guess everybody has different systems.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh man. Well, hey, I just got the call, the dinner bell. So I best be
ate
going.
mine.
Yeah, I heard some clinking there.
I'm
for
sorry.
A minute. No, that's okay. It's part of the ambiance.
You're getting better. It doesn't sound like you're shoveling coal for half the show.
Hey,
It is a learned thing to.
Yeah, it's an awareness that you don't have right away, and then after a while you start saying, "Oh, okay, I guess I'm making noise. I didn't realize."
There is that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Well, you know, when the wife brings up a nicely, freshly prepared dinner that she made, which she only knows how to cook.
Ooh,
one thing. And
Yeah,
she
what is
made
it?
It is shrimp, curry shrimp.
Ooh,
Ginger.
that sounds good.
Yeah,
Well, I'm gonna go get me some whatever my wife just prepared. So I better turn off the broadcast and end the call so I can not get, I don't want to get any dirty looks.
All right, guys. Well, if I don't see you guys next week, have a great time at the flying
2 weeks from
Pittsburgh.
Well, thanks. Yeah, but he's saying maybe if he's not available for next
Oh,
week's
if you're not
show,
here next
but,
week. Oh, I got it.
yeah, and we don't know when that's going to be yet. But
Okay.
it'll be
I got it.
sometime.
And next week is pretty busy. I'm working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then I leave Thursday to go to Panama City Beach, Florida, and I'll be down there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So,
That's not a trip. That's something else.
It's a bike weekend.
Ah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll have you. If not, we'll just see you on the next one.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right.
Bye,
Take care,
guys.
everybody.
All right. Bye.
Cheers.